Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Wrestling RHAPup podcast. I'm your host, Mari Forth, and with me, as always, my co-host, my tag team partner, the Jerry Sags to my Brian Knobs, Mr. Matt Scott. Matt, how are you doing today? Feeling nasty?
Sags. Mr. Sags, if you're nasty.
Yes.
I don't. Sags is such a nasty name.
It
Ooh, I
is.
like it.
That's why they're the
Yeah, Jerry
nasty boys.
Sags.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound. Just
I
threw
will
up a little in my
say,
mouth.
Brian Knobs, out of the WWE legends that I have met, he was really cool. I will say that. He was still funny, still very much playing up the shtick when I met him like 3 years ago.
The strongest impression for me of Brian Knobs was from the now canceled in more ways than one show, Hogan Knows Best. Or I should say VH1's Hogan Knows
I
Best. That's how we have to
forgot about
talk about
that.
shows.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably for the best. But,
Yeah.
hopefully he's okay. Hopefully, tell
Yeah.
him I said hi when you talk to him, when he
Yeah, because of course I
comes up to
have
your.
him on speed dial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well,
great to be here.
Talk about a week in wrestling. I mean, I think the last few weeks have been kind of like, all right, things are going on, but definitely like a lot of like in the news type stuff has been just popping up this week. And I mean, none bigger than more releases, Matt. We got more releases yesterday. I feel like this podcast is just a WWE release update podcast because I feel like we've talked about more releases this season than anything else.
Yeah, we might as well go on like Glassdoor or one of those jobs.
Yeah.
Indeed, maybe we could turn this
Yeah.
into an Indeed podcast where we help to like connect the wrestlers who were released with new jobs and opportunities.
Yeah.
But no, it's sad. And Vince McMahon and his people with the unmitigated gall to release as many people as they have. It's a
It is
lot. It has been a lot. And
it's
it's
ridiculous.
weird. It's weird because just every time that we get this wave of releases, I feel like for me at least, I'm just getting so much more used to it.
Yeah.
But it is sad. It is really
It's very sad. Yeah, it sucks to be like getting desensitized to the releases, especially when you have so many great names on the list. And it's just like, it just feels like so many people are gone and they keep just releasing more and more. But this was NXT releases. So we got word that Bobby Fish, Bronson Reed, Jake Atlas, Ari Sterling, Kona Reeves, Leon Ruff, Stephon Smith, Tyler Rust, Zachariah Smith, Asher Hale, Giant Zangier, and
don't say it, Mari. Don't say it. No, don't. No.
Mercedes Martinez were all released. And I just
No, not Mercedes.
I know.
Vince McMahon is out to what I don't know what we said on last week's podcast. I don't know what he has against us, but I don't like it. I don't like it.
You took this personally.
Still taking it personally.
Yeah. Like, and the worst kind of thing about this was they released the list in the middle of like Smackdown or like in the middle of Smackdown. And it's like, how am I supposed to sit here and enjoy this when like now I'm just sad that all these people are out of a job now? Like who worked on the timing here? But also like Tyler Rust is in the middle of like getting a push with a diamond mine.
I mean, Bobby Fish just had a match with Roderick Strong.
Yeah, to put Roddy over.
Bronson Reed. We thought he was. We thought they really liked him.
We thought he was going up to the main roster.
I mean, Jake Atlas as one of the only. I mean, one of the only openly gay wrestlers in the company, and he was featured too in like I
during
think it
Pride
was
Month.
featured during Pride Month, also
Yep.
featured years ago alongside Stephanie McMahon, I think on like
There
CBS's Undercover Boss or NBC. I don't know what show, what
Yeah, because it
network
was
it is. I
during
don't
the
care.
Evolve, because he
Yes.
was like big in Evolve, and WWE like acquired Evolve.
Yeah.
So, but he had been sitting on the sidelines. Like, I think, no, did he have an injury?
He
And then he
literally
came
was
back.
in the match. He was in the match where Mercedes received the concussion. They were teaming
Yes.
together.
Yes,
And I think he
exactly.
was also he might have also been injured
Injured
in
prior to
recent
that.
weeks. Yeah,
Yeah.
but even after that, he might
After
have been. I
that?
don't remember.
Dang.
Either way, strange. Speaking of which, it is strange that Mercedes, who like a month ago received a concussion, was just
Yeah.
released. So I don't
Not a good
know.
look.
It seems a little questionable, but I don't. What do I know?
And then, like, I think most of these guys are from 205 Live. We've talked about Asher Hale before.
Yep.
Oh,
Mike
yeah.
Bloom's son's namesake.
Yeah. But also Leon Ruff. Leon Ruff is married to the ref Aja, if I remember
Oh,
correctly. Or they're
sorry.
engaged. Yeah. So that kind of really sucks for her. Like the black lady ref in NXT.
Yes. Yeah. Not to be
Yeah. I'm
confused
just
with
saying.
Aza from BB23.
Right.
Aja, for those who don't know, an
Yeah.
icon. Shout out to Aja. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's a
This
sad
is really, really
time.
sad. Yeah.
And you know
So I
what?
mean,
Here's the thing I'll say too. I think I don't know the exact numbers, so don't quote me on it, anybody. But I remember reading or seeing a tweet or something from months ago that was about how there are about 80 or 90 active wrestlers who are actually on the shows each week or regularly or something to that effect, which
uh-huh.
I believe that sounds about right. And
Yeah.
then at the time, again, a few months ago, they had close to 300 people, wrestlers signed.
Yeah. Signed. Yeah.
So when I see the releases, I also just think about how much money the company is really hemorrhaging just by paying people to sit on the shelf and not be used. So, like
Mm-hmm.
from the business perspective, I get it, but it's also a horrible look to fire this many people, especially
All
people who
at
are like
once too.
all at once and
Mm-hmm.
actively on TV, like literally
TV.
on
That
some of
is
them
like
on
the
TV this week.
worst.
Not
Yeah.
smart, not good. And they're like underestimating the impact of like, ooh, this person's on the show. A day later, we fire them. Like that kind of stands out. That kind of stands
Mm-hmm.
out. Not a great look, but
Yeah, exactly. Like Tyler Russ was literally just on the
yeah,
screen. So it just
sad.
doesn't. Yeah, and it kind of like following news of releases, it kind of goes back to Cassie Lee, the former Peyton Royce, gave an
Mm-hmm.
interview to I think it was Chris Van Vliet. I think that's his name.
Yeah,
A podcast interview talking about her, still trying to get over her release and some of the ideas that happened. I don't know this interview like kind of helped her because
I
I
feel
mean,
so bad. Well,
yeah.
okay. It's like always remember the humanity, right? But
Yes.
I feel
Yes.
really bad for her because I mean, she's talented and she's
Very.
and one thing I've appreciated since her release is that she's opened up about different things. Like there was a
Mhm.
podcast episode of her podcast, which is Off Her Chops
Awesome. Mhm.
with Jesse
Yeah.
McKay,
McKay. Mhm.
Yeah,
Jessica McKay.
Jessica
Mhm.
McKay, who's the former Billy
Billy
Kay.
Kay. Mhm.
But anyway, like they were talking about like body issues and eating disorders and things like that. And it
Yeah.
takes a lot, obviously, to be that vulnerable. So shout out to her for that. But between this and then another story that she had where she went to like pitch an idea last year to Vince McMahon and then didn't have anything to say to him. I feel so bad
Yeah.
for her for
Yeah. She
that.
said she froze, right, in the
She
meeting?
froze. He was like,
Yeah.
"What do you like to do for fun?" And she said, "That's what she said." So
Oh my gosh, and that is
I
like
feel,
the absolute worst thing you can do with Vince
we need to.
McMahon.
You know what, Cassie, you're
Yeah.
welcome on the podcast. And
Yeah.
this could be your redemption. We could give you a whole
Not our
new.
podcast. Not no, well, Like she's doing big
Tell us,
things.
Shayla.
Like that is a step down. Like
You know what network we're on, Mari? Rob has a podcast.
All
It's not
right.
Mari and Matt have a podcast. That would be like small potatoes. We're on Rob has a podcast. And you know what? This could
Okay.
also be Rob has a podcast featuring Cassie. So
Okay.
let's
I
do it.
mean,
Who
I,
else are we gonna have? Coral. We're gonna have Coral from
oh yeah,
Real World
the
New York. We're gonna
challenge. Oh my
have
god, that'd be amazing.
you know what? Bring all comers. We'll
Bring
take
all the
anybody. Let's
Seamus, friend
go.
of the pod, right?
Yes, Seamus. Great guy, great chap. And you know
But yeah,
what?
Cassie
We're a
Lee
mess.
talked about. She also talked about how she was the one who pitched the idea to break up the Iconics. And that I was like, girl, why? Why would you do that? Like, especially at the point when the Iconics got broken up, they hadn't done anything yet. Like, I mean, they had been the champions. They were champions for like 2 months, but they were barely on TV, you know? And I just felt like that group could do so much more, which is why when they got broken up, everybody was pissed off at Vince McMahon. And then people were pissed off when they both got released. And then for her to tell us it was basically her fault, I was like, girl, you should have kept that one under
Could I
wraps.
say so? I want to say something like really sincere right now, which is
Okay.
like tough for me to do on this podcast. But to be sincere, like it's I think her story really helps you see how, like, as a performer in the WWE environment, but also just as like a performer in anything where you're on TV in front of people, like you don't know, perception isn't always reality. Like it's hard to have a clear idea of
Yeah.
what you should do, of where you are, of how good you are, of where you need to improve. And
Yeah.
so this is a great example of, like, she had an idea that probably totally made sense to her at the time, and it probably would have made sense to most of us, but hindsight's 2020. So
Yeah.
you can't really do anything about that, and you have to kind of look at her example as like this tale of, like, you know what, like it's hard to know the right thing to do, and sometimes we make choices that we don't love later, but that's the way that it is.
Exactly. So that's how it goes. I hope she whispers of where she may go next, if she's just taking a break from wrestling, but either way we wish her all the best. We got a lot of really great questions from the Job Has a Squadcast Facebook group, the
Yes.
unofficial official patron group of
Yes.
Rob Has a Podcast.
So many iconic questions. So
Yes,
let's
exactly.
dive right in, Mari. Who did we get questions
Yeah.
from?
So our first question is from Jacob, and his question is, with rumors of Pete Dunne's contract coming up, where do you speculate he ends up? Unlike the majority of recently released talent, he has no real connections to AEW, as far as Jacob knows, but he hasn't been utilized as much as he should be in WWE. What's next for the Bruiserweight? So I like this question. I put this question here because I think it goes right in from our releases. But
Yeah.
honestly, I, we keep hearing like a lot of people's contracts are coming up, and normally you don't hear that. We're hearing that more and more as the years come up, but that's because talent can actually hold out longer now for new contracts. You see what I'm saying? So just because we hear that a talent's contract is coming up doesn't necessarily mean that they plan on leaving. If it's anything like the NFL and what I know about the NFL, it's just to leverage. It's to leverage your next contract. And so I personally, if I'm thinking about it right now today, from everything I know, I would not see Pete Dunne leaving, only because he is like Triple H's like heir apparent. Like Triple H loves Pete Dunne. From what I understand, I could be wrong, but from what all intents and purposes, from what I've heard, Triple H loves Pete Dunne like a son,
Oh my
basically.
god.
Yeah, like so I can't see them giving up the Bruiserweight, especially since he's so talented, so charismatic, so well liked, great fan following. So I think I wouldn't be surprised if he's just like kind of leveraging that to probably get more money or something like that. But
Oh
that could just be
no.
me projecting, maybe. What do
I
you
think
think, Matt?
it might be you projecting, but you know what? The thing that I would love to see is, since you mentioned it, we need Pete Dunne to stay around. We could get like a gimmick where Triple H is Pete Dunne's illegitimate father.
Oh, let's
Um,
not, please.
I mean, they kind of visually,
Stop it.
it worked. I mean, they have the
Stop it
scruff
right
and the
now, sir.
hair. Yes. So,
Mm-mm.
you know what? Here's the other thing. We haven't talked about Adam Cole moving on from. I'm like, I want to do this bit, but I don't want to. I really want to talk about Pete Dunne. So,
Right,
you
yeah.
know, he's great. I think it's just a lot to think about.
Yeah.
How many people won't be going to AEW for various reasons. Like, there are so many people being released. There have been more than 50 WWE stars released this year already.
Yeah, alone, yeah.
So, you know what? Like, we'll see what happens with him. I do hope that he stays, because I did see something from Sean Ross Sapp, a tweet from a couple of days ago or earlier today, that was just about how only about 18% of people who were listed in like people released this year and last year, I think. So I don't know how many people that is, but he said about 18% of people are now signed to new full-time contracts. And so it sucks to be unemployed, right? And I
Yeah.
hope that everyone's able to find a way to kind of make a living, especially as we, you know, have the vaccine and less pandemic worries, hopefully.
Yeah, I'm looking at the tweet you sent me with all of
Yeah.
the releases from 2020 and 2021, and oh my gosh, it's hurting my heart all over again to look at these names, because it's
Mhm.
just so many people.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, wow.
Y-
It's
yeah.
crazy, isn't it? And
If
it's very
there's,
surreal, because I guess that
yeah.
with the pandemic, they're going through a lot, what a lot of average Americans are going through as well. Like, a lot of people
Yeah.
lost their jobs. This last 18 months have been a whirlwind for a lot of people, and it's very sad to see on this type of scale.
Yeah, on the flip side of things too, I mean, I'm always just trying to look for silver linings. Like,
Yeah.
hopefully they've been in the mindset of I could be released at any point, just because they've seen that happening. And then they also, and this is something that Cassie, aka the former Peyton Royce, talked about, which is just having friends who are released at the same time. You're able to kind of come together and be like, ooh, we get it. We're with each other. So hopefully that's like the one of the silver linings of being released in 2021 alongside
Yeah.
50 other people.
Yeah, exactly.
Or
And
just like your contract expiring this year, which we've also seen with a number of people.
yeah, and we've seen that the pandemic has had a way where, streamers are rising. The former iconics are they put their podcast together, like you mentioned. So the good thing about the bright side, should I say, like you said, about the pandemic and this technological world we're living in now, there are a lot more ways that people can make money, using their likeness, gaming, whatever, than ever before. So, um, best wishes to all of them. Uh, I also just want to say real quickly, we
Mm,
did get word that Ruby Riot may be going to AEW
good
under
for
the name
her.
Ruby Soho. I love Ruby Riot. I love Ruby Riot. And um I'm so glad she has a landing spot. I just would like to see her on TV. So if she goes to
Yeah.
AEW, I hope she gets like featured or whatever. But I want to support her so badly, because she is such a great worker and an amazing person, and I just want to see what's next for her, just like many of
Yeah.
these wrestlers. So also
Yeah.
support your local wrestling indies as well, and buy
Hmm.
wrestlers merch. Like we said before, buy their merch, support them in any way that you can, to just let them know that you're thinking about them. Okay, and also
Yeah.
the great Edmo asked
Shout out to
us.
Edmo.
Shout out to Edmo. Uh, he said this topic has kind of been discussed before, but we constantly. Oh, sorry. Look at me. Look at me. Not
Wait,
reading.
what?
Uh,
What? That was a good. You did a good job reading.
no. Oh yeah. Oh, I thought he said consistently. Okay. All right. Whatever. So, but we we
I mean, same.
constantly. Yeah, that's the same word. Like constantly, consistently. We see these male superstars like Cena and Goldberg come back constantly. So maybe it was consistently, and then, anyways, Edmo's still
Mm,
great. The primary women who get that to that level of pop, are like your Trish and your Lita. Do you guys feel like in 10 years after they call their careers a wrap, some of the current roster, primarily the horsewomen, will get that treatment? So basically
Yeah.
asking, can the women be brought back? Honestly, Edmo, I feel like there are women right now who could be called back that aren't just Trish and Lita.
Yeah. And even because the person who
Mm-hmm.
actually came to mind for me here was Beth Phoenix as a great
Yes.
example of someone
Mm-hmm.
who sure was over and popular in her original run, but then when she came back, and I don't even mean like the maybe this was women's Royal Rumble era, like so
Rebel.
the
Yeah.
last few years, but she did come back and kind of have a run tagging with Natalia
Natalia.
again.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
like the reactions she would get were so strong. And even now I mean, obviously still a commentator with
So good on
NXT.
NXT.
She's so great.
Mm-hmm.
People love her. So yeah, they could definitely do this. I don't know if it's a question of like who exactly, because I could picture a world where like most of the women could be in a spot in 10 years where they're back and get a huge reaction, but it all really depends on how they set things up. The horsewomen, 1000%, to borrow from
Right.
Jacob Jones, 1000% will like get that reaction, unless they're like canceled for some random reason between
Reason.
now and then. But yeah.
But the funny thing is, I think the reason why we don't get more women coming back for pops like that is because WWE treated their women very horribly
and
in
they
the
still don't
past.
and they still
Yeah.
don't value the women, so we don't get
Yeah.
the returns of these past women a lot because
Exactly.
they still don't like. This is something that I feel like we've seen with Survivor, and I was thinking about it a lot in line with the top 40 countdown,
Mm-hmm.
with Rob and everyone watching Survivor. And I just watched Survivor Amazon back, and there was a whole like gender dynamic twist. And something I realized, and this came up for Cook Islands when we were covering it too, it's that
Yeah.
like regardless of what theme you're trying to push or what ideas you want to say that you have, like if your editors are a certain kind of person, or if the people in charge are a certain kind of person, like you're not going to be able to change the narrative. So with Amazon, like there was a ton of sexist stuff in there, even though I'm sure they were patting themselves on the back for being like really like feminists, and I don't even want to know what the editors thought at the time. And Cook Islands,
Mm-hmm.
same thing. So diverse, but like there were
Race.
also a lot of problematic things and a lot of stereotypes that were
Yeah.
forced in there for a lot of people. And so I feel similarly with the women here, where like they could say that they support the women as much as they want, but like the numbers don't lie. Like the numbers of people we see show up. I don't know. I'm not in people's bank accounts. I'm not an accountant, but
Mm-hmm.
I know that the women are paid a lot less typically than the
Yeah.
men. And so these are things that like matter, and that
I agree with
clearly show
that.
that they don't value the women as much. I would love to see people like Trish and Lita and Victoria, and bring back anyone.
I was
It'd be
thinking
great.
Melina. Yeah,
Molly
Melina's gonna be
Holly
on
would be great.
Molly
Mighty
Holly.
Molly with the
Molly, she's producing
Nikki
now, I
A.S.H
think.
stuff. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
bring her in
Yeah, Melina was actually just
on
announced to be
Impact
on the
and
The
NWA
Impact.
Empower.
Yeah, so that might we might have to get Rob to pay for that so we can watch it.
Yeah, we'll be there
Yeah.
live
I
in
mean, he sent
person.
Chappelle and Jacob to a boxing match. He can at least pay $60 for all women's wrestling match for us
Plus,
to watch.
I thought, well, also
I'm
plus
gonna bring it
flights
up to
and
him.
hotels and food. And thanks, Rob.
Well, I don't even know. Wait, actually, where
Robbie.
are they doing Empower at? Do you know?
I wasn't invited, so I don't know. You know what?
Now I might have to look that up.
To go further back, just to borrow from Dennis Stamp, who is famous for his line in Beyond the Mat. He doesn't show up because he doesn't get booked. I don't show up when I'm not booked,
There
so
you go.
I'm not booked. I'm not booked.
That's
I
amazing.
won't be there unless Robbie,
Oh god,
Dad.
that's I know. Pay for us. But anyways,
I'm
yeah.
like,
So
never mind. I'm not going to say daddy. Let's keep
please
going.
don't. Yes. So yeah. So Edmo, I think the women, like Matt said, do have the kind of star power now to come back. But like Matt said, will they be willing to pay them? Because I'm pretty sure they weren't paying Gail Kim enough when she came back. They still I will not rest until I see Melina versus Naomi. I will push that agenda until I will push that agenda as far as possible. Even Mickie James, we just talked about Mickie James. Mickie James had a good run, but they could have definitely utilized her better. So, like Matt said, it's how the company treats the women, which will dictate if the women want to come back. Because I bet you they're paying Goldberg so much money to do absolutely the bare minimum in comparison.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So we had a lot of great questions from the Job Has a Squadcast Facebook account. So we'll be going through more of them as we go along through the show. But we want to just plug our emails and social medias. Matt, where can the people find us?
Oh, well, they could find us by email, wrestling@RHAPhasawebsite.com. Shoot us your emails. Let us know your thoughts. Hit us up. We want to know what you think about all the things that we just discussed and all the things that we're going to get into in the world of wrestling. You could use hashtag WrestlingRHAPup. You could also tag us on Twitter, @WrestlingRHAPup. That's wrestling RHAPup. And then you could finally also find us in the Job Has a Squadcast Facebook group, which is a lot of people who were and are RHAP patrons, but also just wrestling fans in this RHAP community. So if you want to be part of that, hit us up. We will get you the hookup. We know people. We know some people.
Yeah.
So we can work that out. But Mari, where else could they find us?
Yes, you can listen to us on our Wrestling RHAPup podcast feed, wherever you get your podcast. We are currently, you can listen to us in podcast form, or if you're watching us, you can watch us on YouTube. You can watch this lovely video that we're making right now. See our lovely, beautiful faces. You'll also see some of the wrestlers, the pictures. It's a great opportunity to see all of our wonderful guests, see all of the wrestlers that we talk about. So go check us out on YouTube at the Rob Has a Podcast YouTube page. You can also, this is the perfect time to subscribe to the RHAP Patreon. At the beginning of each month, you sign up at www.patreon.com/RHAP, and you'll get access to exclusive patron podcast feeds, patron mini games. You'll get access to the slop. Me and Matt will be on the slop on Monday talking about the Big Brother celebrity boxing fight.
You didn't have to say that word.
But all that you can get access by going to patreon.com and signing up for to be an RHAP patron. Okay. All right. Man, we talk a lot. So we have to get to our wonderful guest who has just been sitting there, I'm pretty sure, chomping at the bit to get on while we talked our little hearts out.
That's right.
Matt, who do we have this week?
Oh my gosh, what an honor, because let me tell you that this is only our third Canadian guest in Wrestling RHAPup history. And knowing the iconic legacy of Canada and pro wrestling, we know that she will do us and the wrestling world proud. This guest hails from the creative capital of Canada, K-Dub, the Water Taxi, the Looney Tunes, the Lou, Waterloo, Ontario, Canada. This guest is a woman of all seasons, covering shows like F-Boy Island, Sexy Beast, Average Joe, BB23, Love Island, Too Hot to Handle, Survivor, The Circle, BBK 9, Beauty and the Geek. Oh, and that was this year alone. Come on. She's everywhere. And she's a multi-talented, platinum quality recording artist and the creator of such iconic wand-off songs as Roar Kit and Kid on My Socks and all sorts of other stuff. She's a Libra, and I'm not talking about Libra from BB10. She's an ENFP. She's a RHAP celebrity. Get her in here. Make no mistake about it. This might be a hot girl summer, but now we're ready for a Jenny Autumn. Jenny Autumn, welcome to the podcast. Yeah, Jenny's here. Yeah, we love Jenny. Oh, yeah.
I'm speechless. You brought me on to talk, and I don't know what to say right now. I need Matt to follow me around in my life and hype me up on the regs because I feel invincible at this moment.
You know what?
That's like the greatest introduction of time. Like, listen, you guys always kill the intros here. Like, obviously that's the point. But you just outlined accomplishments I didn't even know I had. I was like, oh yeah, I did that. Yeah, I was on that podcast.
And that's all Matt. That's all Matt.
And you know what, Jenny? You know what? I'll say this. Like, all you need to do is get me some honey, some cough drops, and some water, and also some coffee, and I'll do it. And a flight. You know what? Let Rob know that you need me. Maybe if you have an event that I can follow you to, and I can have it on, like,
hang out. And, like, if you can occasionally be like, you know what, Jenny, you did that. I'm like, yeah, I did. I did that, Matt. You're absolutely right.
Hey, I have my passport right here, too. So Rob, if you want to,
I'm pretty sure we're letting you guys back in the country like now. I think like this weekend is when we're you guys are allowed to come back. So I mean, let's make it happen.
Make it happen. Yeah.
I mean, this is the thing is like I'd just be happy to have you following me around and just saying nice things and just. The reason I'm on this podcast is because I want to hang out with you two.
Yes.
Same. Yeah. I haven't gotten an opportunity to podcast with either of you, and I'm like, oh my God. Listen, I haven't watched wrestling in a long ass time, but I will watch anything you guys send me if I get to hang out with you two on a podcast. So it's an absolute honor to be here. Thank you for having me on today.
We are so glad to have you. Like one of the few people who we were like, anybody want to come on the Wrestling RHAPup podcast? And you're like, yeah, me. We were like, okay, great. At first it was like crickets.
Listen, I've seen who you guys have had on. It's not like you're scraping any bottom of any barrels here.
That's true.
So.
That's true.
It's true. I'm like when I realize that you guys are like not just looking for people that are watching wrestling right now to talk about it, I'm like, okay, like as long as I don't embarrass myself here, because I don't want to hang out and talk to you guys and talk about all of this. It's been really fun taking myself back to the world of wrestling.
Yes, and this is a judgment-free zone.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, but you know
sensitive.
what?
I'm an ENFP, okay? Like Matt said. Come on.
I'm just like doxing all of the things about you.
Oh, it's all over my bios. It's fine. I'm embarrassing.
Yeah, but you know what, Jenny, you're an icon, and we know that the Wrestling RHAPup audience now knows that if they didn't know that before, and they're about to hear your iconography and iconotry in a minute. So
I didn't know I was an icon. And I'm like, that's why I'm like, I need Matt as my listen, I would be your sidekick. You don't need to be my sidekick. I would be your sidekick. Okay, well, we'll talk about it. It's fine.
We could get one of those like mics at Toys R Us or something that like, you know, you speak to and it just amplifies it. I don't even want a megaphone. I need a mic.
My son has one. I can give it to you.
You might have one within arm's reach.
Yes, and as always, Jenny, you know, on this podcast, we like to just keep it fun, light, positive. It's for the casual fans, it's for the hardcore fans. So that's why we're so excited to have you on. Tell the people a little bit about like what wrestling experience you do have.
So I'm old. And so I actually watched wrestling in the 90s because I have an older brother and he was very, very into wrestling. And so my memory of it is like a little bit fuzzy because as an old, my memory is failing me. But I will say that going through the wrestling experience this week, through the clips that we were going to discuss today, brought me back to this period of my life. So I watched a lot of like 90s wrestling and maybe like early 2000s. I don't know. I kind of remember
the heyday.
Honestly, I feel like it is. But here's the thing is like, it's aside from like everything you guys have discussed so far where like people are being like released from contracts and all of that stuff, maybe not at the heyday, but I'm constantly surprised by like how it's still going strong because I think I fell out of it, you know, as I became like a teenager. and it kept going. I was like, oh, like this is still very much a thing. And the blast from the past that I got with some of these people, like names that I actually recognize.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I remember, like, this is gonna be like really embarrassing because I don't remember what time this was, but like I remember like Ultimate Warrior,
of course.
like because he had like the really colorful
tassels.
Yeah. My brother had a lot of those like wrestling like figurines, so like I'm pretty sure that like some of my Barbies were having like romances with like some of these wrestlers. Like I was creating my own storyline.
G.I. Joe.
But here's the thing, so, and like you will understand this as we go through talking about all of this. I have this issue, and I honestly think it's like undiagnosed ADHD, but like I have this issue where like watching wrestling, I am very invested, and I do this with Big Brother and Survivor as well. I swear to God, I black out during challenges. Yes. No, I do. Like, I really do. Like, my mind just erases. But I'm very, very invested in the storyline. And that's what I liked about that's what got me paying attention to wrestling as a kid with my brother, because otherwise I wouldn't give a shit what he was talking about or like watching. Exactly. But I got it's like a soap opera. Like I was a kid watching soap operas. And that was what got me into wrestling, because I was like, there's always a storyline, there's always drama between certain people. There's like, and I was always all here for it. I was like, okay, these people like had a falling out, and now this person is like with this person, and because they have like a common enemy, now they're friends. And I was like, that is the thing that's always like been the most interesting thing about wrestling for me. I swear to God, during the actual matches, half the time it doesn't matter. Yeah, but no, I am here for the overarching like storylines of like what's happening with these people, because it's constantly changing.
Exactly.
And I'm glad to see that that's still very much the spirit of wrestling, because that's very much what I remember. Like I remember all the theatrics of it, all of the entrances, people like trash talking each other. Like that was the stuff that actually drew me in, you know, in the heyday of wrestling. And it's still very much the thing, and it's just so much more extra than I even probably remember. Well, it's just like modern extra, I feel. So it's like, but
it's updated, the extraness. And that's the funny thing, because people love the Attitude Era, the heyday of wrestling, and not a lot of people realize, like, if you went back and watched on the network like I did, not a lot of people remember that there wasn't much like really good actual wrestling happening during that time period. It really was just great characters, great character work, great storyline, shenanigans,
lots of great jean shorts, and shirts. People they loved to wear shirts back in the day too.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, but it's really interesting to see like how it's come, because I'm still impressed that like there's new characters that are doing different things, but it's like, because it's, you know, how many iterations of like a similar kind of character can there be, but it's still happening. I found myself like while watching what's happening in wrestling right now, like thinking back to like, you know, oh, this is like this kind of makes me feel like this person's vibe or this person's vibe, but like
updated.
It's still very much it's like modernized, and I don't know, it's really fun. And like you were saying, Matt, like there's a lot of famous wrestlers from Canada. Like Canada has its place in wrestling. Like
very
obviously much so. Like obviously the Michaels brothers, but like the Hart brothers. Michael, sorry. The Michaels brothers.
There's probably also some Michaels brothers too.
I did Shawn Michaels.
There you go, Shawn Michaels.
Exactly. I was like,
like the antagonist of Canada, if anything.
Yes.
But yeah, obviously the Hart brothers, and then like isn't like Jericho also Canadian?
Yeah, Chris Jericho's Canadian.
Which I wasn't expecting that to be a thing that's happening right now. But anyway.
Yeah, Canada is like a haven for wrestling, and good wrestling at that. Go, oh yeah, oh Canada. So let's jump into it. Like I know we are all excited. Let's jump into our highlights of the week. Each week we go over the different highlights from Raw, SmackDown, AEW, and NXT. All of the highlights can be found in a very handy dandy playlist that is in either our show notes or our show description on YouTube. Show notes on if you're listening to the podcast, where you can watch and follow along with us. So we're gonna start with Raw. And we're going to start with Charlotte and Nikki A.S.H. and the debacle of it all. So the first clip we get is Charlotte coming out to cut a promo on Nikki and talk about like oof meter, like yikes. Charlotte,
the promo. Are you talking about the promo or the outfit? Because let me just say up front, I want to break down this outfit because hold on. Here's my problem with this outfit. It is we have like on the top
spoilers with this image here.
Yeah, well, you don't know what's gonna happen. You don't know what's gonna happen back there, the YouTube. But on top we're getting like. She's giving us Star Trek vibes with those shoulders, with that crop top. On the bottom, we're getting like Zumba pants. And then on the
bike
bottom
shorts
of
are
that,
in, Matt. Bike
we're getting
shorts are
Dancing
in.
with the Stars.
Thank you.
So I don't know. I could have seen her wrestling in this, but it was a choice. So I just want to break it down for a second. But
I love a neutral, so I love that it's black and like silver.
Yes.
I'm not a huge fan of the shoes personally.
I can see
like,
she did go wrong there.
I mean, it works with the outfit in terms of like color scheme but I just don't understand what's happening. There's like black tips and it's like a clear like side, but the heel is what really bothers me. It looks like there's like a little peg on the bottom of the heel. I don't know. It's just not working.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
It like goes out. It looks like a cone or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's almost like they modified that heel so it's not like a stiletto heel.
Yeah, it does look like a modified stiletto. Not a huge fan of the shoulders, I will say, but I liked the crop.
Talking fashion.
The crop with the sparkly bike short. I'm okay with that part of it.
Yeah,
okay,
I like it. It's definitely a power outfit.
The shoulders demand respect. I will say that. Like, you know what I mean? She's just like, you coming in with those shoulders and
you gotta listen.
But you don't need to look like she looks like Captain Kirk, and that's all I'm gonna say.
Stop it.
Anyway, Mari, you were telling us about this promo that Charlotte was gonna do.
The real thing about one of the it was very tone deaf in a sense because she comes out, she talks about Simone Biles. The first thing out her mouth is Simone Biles. Why? Well, everybody is just riding Simone Biles' tip this week. But she said like, when I heard Simone Biles had withdrawn from the Olympics and then we were getting the crowd started chanting the Becky chant. She said, wait, I'm going somewhere with this. And where she went was just like, I understood. Like she was basically using the situation to compare herself to Simone Biles to call herself the GOAT, which was fine. I mean, like it's better than what we'll get to a little bit later. But it was just a tad bit tone deaf. It was just like, it felt like a shoehorned in reference. And further note, this crowd was in Chicago, and Chicago is notoriously a crowd that when WWE comes to town, they definitely can be antagonistic.
Yeah, they can get loud too.
Very loud. Yes, they can get loud, very known for their crowd work and then antagonism. So Charlotte has always been really good at working crowds though. She's always been good at getting them right back, getting them to boo her, get them to focus on the story at hand. So I wasn't worried about Charlotte here. My biggest worry about this promo, if we're just going into the promo itself, is again, we've talked about it on the last few podcasts, but Charlotte is just making their champion, Nikki A.S.H, look like a dummy, and it's just not the storyline for me. I just don't like it.
Mari doesn't, but I mean, she's like, in her defense, in Nikki's defense, she's not a superhero. She is almost a superhero, which, I mean, this is what you could expect from almost a superhero. If you're almost a superhero, you are a clown. And you know what? I'm just saying it, and I'm putting it out there. And we saw her get clowned a little bit.
A lot of it.
I honestly, okay, so it took me a little bit to realize that A.S.H stood for almost superhero.
Yeah.
What is her other name? Nikki. Did she have a different name?
Well, her original name was Nikki Cross.
Okay, that's what Charlotte kept referring her to as Nikki Cross.
Did she do it again?
I didn't even
realize. Yes, no, because as soon as you said that, I recognized it because she was calling her A.S.H, but then she was also calling her Nikki Cross during that. So I was like, wait, is this two different people?
I think she did that last week too.
She did.
Because I remember that coming. Yeah.
I don't know if that's like a sign of disrespect where she's like, I'm not going to call you by your real name, or if she's just messing up. But
no, it's just that the name was slapdashedly put together at the last minute over the last month or so, and people have not gotten used to calling her Nikki A.S.H when they've been calling her Nikki Cross for 5 years. So
I mean, yeah, like understandable. It's cemented in your brain, I guess.
Yeah.
Are you guys ready for me to ask some questions here?
Oh,
about
please.
this?
We're born ready.
So, well, first of all, I mean, Matt, you're alluding to the fact that like they're maybe doing Nikki A.S.H dirty, or that you maybe don't think that like she's like worth respect. I just don't understand. I'm wondering about that. I'm not putting words in your mouth.
But okay.
What's your opinion, Matt? Let me
tell you. So she just looks a little bit too much like a goober to me.
Yeah. Okay. So
gimmick.
That's thought
it, really.
When she came out, and I was like, again, this was the first thing I watched this week.
Yeah.
So this was my entry back into modern wrestling right now.
Oh,
and so we got Charlotte there. She's looking like a badass. Like she's like, you know, even though it's like I wouldn't wear it personally, it commanded respect, like I said. And then I thought this woman was Sarah Beth from BB23 coming in for a veto competition. I swear. I was like, what is happening right now? Is this real? Is this her costume?
This is legit her costume. She wrestles in it.
This is a new thing. This is
new.
Okay. What did you wear before? Because I just don't know if I'm loving like the superhero
was like black
thing.
No,
it
you
just feels
liked
goofy, like you said, Matt. Like kind of the goober thing where I'm just like,
yes.
I don't know.
That's
it's
the
very
champion
looking. Yeah, that's wild.
And that again, that's where all of this is where all of my objections come from this storyline itself. They did not get Nikki A.S.H over before they put the title on her. So this would have been a great storyline if Nikki was chasing, make her look like a goober, make her finally get the win over Charlotte. But she's a champion. She's the champion looking like a goober. Your champion should not look like a goober. The title should not command respect for the person wearing it. The person wearing it should command respect for the title. And that's why it's just very, very annoying here.
But neither of those things is happening, Mari. That's the thing. Like, it's neither, like, the championship isn't helping Nikki. Nikki isn't helping the championship.
Very true.
So the other thing that I wasn't clear on is because like what Charlotte is trying to say during this, like, and I agree with you, Mari. I think that the comparison with the Simone Biles thing was like, she kept on being like, I'm going somewhere with this. And I'm like, I don't feel like she fully made the comparison in a way that was like clear to me. Like you really had to like mince it for us.
Yeah.
Like she's trying to say like Simone Biles, she is the GOAT. And I was like, I thought she was just kind of making fun of a mental breakdown and trying to be like, I'm going to have a mental breakdown over Nikki A.S.H taking this title. Anyway.
And honestly, if you got that from that is valid as well, because it was not properly handled.
Yeah, again, it was like I left this being like, what is happening here? So what Charlotte is trying to say here is that Money in the Bank is the cheapest way to win a title. Can you guys explain this to me? Why that is, and is that her just trying to deflect and be like, you didn't actually win, like it was through Money in the Bank? Or is there something about this structure that I should understand for why Charlotte feels this way?
I mean, it's both because Money in the Bank, it's a briefcase. Once you win it, you can cash in on the champion at any time, at any moment. More than likely, when it is cashed in, the champion has probably just gone through a grueling match or whatever,
Like
and
the
then
same night as
that's
them
like
being
not even the
beat
same
or
night, like
fighting
the
something.
same
Yeah.
second. Like the
Oh,
same
okay.
second. Like
Yeah.
Charlotte at Money at the Raw after Money in the Bank. Charlotte was going up against a girl named Rhea Ripley in a rematch. Their match ended in like disqualification. Rhea Ripley then beat Charlotte up after the match, and then Nikki A.S.H came in and cashed in on Charlotte right then and there.
Gotcha.
So
it's like coming in when you're already weakened and you're like you're only getting the match because you got this like briefcase of money thing.
Yes. And Charlotte has been cashed in on, she said 2 times here, right?
I think she said 3.
3. Okay, that's what I was about to say. I thought I heard her say 2 times at one point. I was like, girl, it's been 3. Like, that doesn't even make sense. But yeah, she's actually been cashed in on 3 times. She's basically the only person who's been cashed in on at this point, because there's only been 4 women's Money in the Bank matches. Actually, she is the only person that's been cashed in on, because the 4th one wasn't even a cash in. It was a title being handed over. Anyways, that's neither here nor there.
There was like the one other that was, I don't even know. Mari, look, I can't keep track of history. Again, brain like goldfish. What same? But you know what?
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Like, there was also the Alexa Bliss, Nia Jax, Ronda Rousey one where Alexa cashed in the same night.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of
confused.
I'm kind of confused about. Wikipedia is so helpful.
It was 3, so maybe
things, if anyone wants to go back.
Again, this year is the 5th year. That's why this year was the 5th year. Before this, it was 4
years. Okay.
Yeah, it's 5 years. Yeah, that's what it is. But anyways, so she's just saying that every time that the title has been taken from her like that, it was cheap and it was demeaning, and she's using this against Nikki A.S.H because she's saying otherwise you would have never beat me, and
you
this
have to go for me at like a weakened state with like a leg up sort of thing. Gotcha.
Exactly. And the storyline has been kind of consistent with that. Nikki did get a few what felt like lucky wins, but they made us feel like we're lucky wins earlier on in the year. Other than that, she's basically been losing to Charlotte. So tonight we got the no holds barred match, which was great because Nikki, when you asked us what was Nikki A.S.H, Ash, whatever, her original name was Nikki Cross. When she was Nikki Cross, not only was she an indie wrestler, but she was like dirtier to say, like that sounds horrible, but like she was like feral.
Dirty?
Yeah, she
she was like
physically dirty.
Oh,
she was
like covered in sand.
Matt,
no,
Matt, grab a picture for me.
Sand
grab a picture for me if you can.
No, I mean,
but she was
Flaggy would say that sand is dirty.
Her character was like, I'm unhinged and like literally that was her character. She would come in biting the rope,
like a wild beast,
a wild lady. And she's had very memorable like a last woman standing match with Asuka. Like she does really good stipulation matches here, and Charlotte does too. So we got the no holds barred match. Nikki beat Charlotte in the no holds bar match. I can only imagine that we'll probably get something like, oh, you need a stipulation to beat me or something to that effect. But the fact that Nikki beat Charlotte here kind of scares me, because at SummerSlam, Nikki A.S.H is supposed to go against both Charlotte and Rhea Ripley in a triple threat match at SummerSlam. So
do they all fight each other? Sorry, like
it's a triple threat.
So it's everyone's just fighting each other.
Rhea wasn't. If I remember, Rhea wasn't featured on Raw this week, right, Matt?
She was there. She fought Nia Jax.
Yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah, that was a whole nother thing.
And
I don't know why I didn't pick that.
That's who Nikki A.S.H beat to win the title. Or sorry, no wait, it was something about. I thought they were something about her fighting Rhea.
Yeah,
maybe it's talking about SummerSlam. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So Rhea Ripley was the champion. I should have included her clips, but there wasn't much. There wasn't much this week that forwarded. Yeah. But Rhea Ripley was the Raw Women's Champion at Money in the Bank. She lost that championship to Charlotte that night. Then the next night on Raw, Rhea demanded a rematch. Charlotte basically walked out on the match, which got her disqualified. Again, Rhea beat Charlotte up. Nikki A.S.H came in, cashed in Money in the Bank, and now she's the Raw Women's Champion.
Okay.
So on this night on Raw, Rhea Ripley went up against Nia Jax. She beat Nia Jax. Nia and Shayna may have broken up here. But I didn't include that in the highlights. Yeah. I didn't include in the highlights because I feel like that's something that we'll get more about next week. But basically, Rhea got a win back. It looks like they're trying to build her up for this SummerSlam match as well. But honestly, I think Charlotte comes out of SummerSlam with the belt.
And by the way, like with all of this, I think the other thing is like this isn't Nikki at her most feral. But definitely we're getting a feral essence here. Thinking about this, if you're watching YouTube, you're just seeing this picture of Nikki from her NXT days. You kind of get the sense that she's a little off. But you know what? Like, this was her vibe. I feel like this was a cool vibe.
I love this type of Nikki. Jenny, what do you think looking at this?
Back in black.
I mean, I'm way more into this than the goofy superhero thing.
Yeah.
Like,
really interesting.
Yeah. I just that was the first thing I saw, and I was like, wait, no, they're not dressing like this now. Like, because I was like, are they all wearing like the capes and the superhero masks? Like, that's what wrestling is like. And I was like, no, it's not. I really do. I agree with what you guys are saying, that they are like kind of doing this girl dirty while trying to like elevate her as like the champion, because
it doesn't make sense.
Her character is very like in my notes I said I really think Nikki A.S.H is a dork, but I'm happy for her because Charlotte Flair seems kind of like an asshole.
These are perfect adorable reads. I was like, oh, that's great.
These are great reads.
Yeah, I'm like, you know what? Like, good for her. But I'm like,
she's
I almost
a dork.
kind of like feel bad for her because like they're not.
And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get that sympathy, get her over due to sympathy, which I think is fine. But again, I just really do have a problem with her having the title. That's just me. Like, I don't. Which brings us into our next clip. The clip after the Charlotte Nikki A.S.H match is Nikki is celebrating in the crowd, and then the New Day comes out to celebrate with her. Again, this is a classic rub. New Day are very over. Them and Nikki A.S.H, I think, have they even talked like once before?
Probably not.
They came out, they celebrated with her to get the crowd hype, and
that's what they were doing.
That dancing happened, and it was something.
Yeah,
it was like a very. What did I write down? I wrote New Day had their trombone.
Yes,
and then Nikki was on their shoulders.
Yes.
Did you see that she actually kind of like fell on the dismount?
No, I didn't see it.
They were like going to put her down so she could stand, and then she like somehow ended up on her hands on the mat.
Big quirky girl energy from Nikki A.S.H here.
That's what they need to go for, rather than like, let's have her get beat up and see how this goes. Like, no.
Yeah.
We need to have her just falling alive.
No, I think that like if it did feel like purposeful, that it's like, okay, like we're letting her dance that way, like she's a quirky underdog, and this is supposed to be like this rootable character. When you say the New Day is over, what do you, because I don't have context for who they are, but I was very confused by the trombone. I'm very glad that I identified an instrument correctly, because when it comes to brass stuff, I have no idea what anything is. I was like, they just came out of nowhere, and then I will say, kind of my dream to be carried like that. She like had one leg on like each of their shoulders. I was like, I want to be like hoisted around like that.
Not if you fall after, like, you want to land on your feet, or else it's embarrassing, and you wish you never got on the shoulders.
Yeah. No.
Yes. When we say New Day is over, we mean like the crowd loves them. They get reactions. They're very popular with the crowd.
Okay.
I don't know if you noticed that, but like once they came out,
that was the thing. I was like, okay, this is like a thing. Like everyone's very hyped about this.
Yes,
and they're her friends. I guess, but you guys said maybe not. Like they don't have a relationship. This is a problem. It's like I'm trying to figure out like the relationships between people. It's like okay, like sometimes as spoiler ahead, like sometimes people are related, and sometimes they're just like these are my friends, and I'm like I want to know why are you friends, and this is my problem is that now I'm like I've jumped in the middle of modern day wrestling, and I'm like why are these people friends?
But it's okay. That's what they wanted you. They wanted you, the casual, to see, oh, that's New Day. Oh, people like them. Oh, they're cool with Nikki. Oh, they're just all cool. So that is exactly that's exactly what they wanted you to take away
they're
from
trying
it.
to garner
we know that it's just like,
okay.
So
it's manufactured. It's a manufactured relationship to gain more support for Nikki A.S.H.
Yeah,
exactly.
At least in my opinion.
And it's also it's like very clearly a manufactured relationship by people who don't understand relationships. Like,
Big Brother editing. Like
it's like oh they talk. Wait, they don't talk. Oh. Okay, I saw those people together, but now I'm not seeing them together, and then they're friends. But are they friends? Like, how do they? That's WWE for you. Like, they don't. It's just a little scary to see them try to make people friends because it's very awkward and not human.
So so that was Nikki A.S.H. She had a very fiery babyface promo afterwards.
She's Scottish.
Nothing new.
Is she Scottish?
Yeah, she is.
Yeah. I was like, whoa! I heard her speak.
Yes, cool accent, right? Yeah.
She said, and one of the things she said, I could have done that all night. She said she could have been thrown through tables. She could not have done that all night.
No, Nikki Cross was really good at those like no holds bars.
Nikki Cross was, but not Nikki A.S.H.
Yeah, we'll see.
Are they the same? Are they different? Who knows?
Right. So it was. I mean, I like that it just seems like one step forward and two steps back because they did all of this. They gave her the win. They had New Day celebrate with her. They gave her this. I really like that promo. I think it should have been on TV instead of a network exclusive. But you just also had like 20 minutes of Charlotte just calling her an absolute loser. You know what I'm saying? So it just feels like, and if they take that title off of her at SummerSlam, then I don't know if she can if that character can survive that.
Here's just like one thing I want to put out there that like does bother me about this. They're not selling masks. They're not selling her mask.
Yeah.
So, which actually says a lot because one, that's a huge missed opportunity. But two, well, no, that's it. Like they should be selling them so people could wear them while she's popular. But
they don't see
because if it was they don't see the value in her enough to be like, ooh, people are gonna want to buy those masks, which is kind of sad. Maybe they'll start selling them at some point. Hopefully they do, but that is strange that they're not doing that already. It's been like a month,
if we haven't gotten a glow belt, we are not getting that mask.
A glow belt, like a Naomi belt that glows.
Yes.
We're not getting that ever.
Do you think they're just cutting costs? Like they're like, we've not had like in-person revenue for a long time, so
no, Jenny. No. Here's the thing: they have masks for your mouth that they're selling, but they don't have. We could just use a little bit of an eye mask from Nikki.
You know what they could make? They could make an eye mask that has the mask built into it. 2 birds, 1 stone.
Yes, perfect for robbing banks. That'd be great.
Or saving the bank because you're almost a superhero.
You could choose. You get to choose, or both. Or both. It would be like that Spider-Man, like evil Spider-Man situation. Like, which one's good? I don't know. I want it.
Nobody's buying that, guys. I'm sorry. Nobody's buying that.
I will buy the mask.
They're still saying that she's not getting big pops and even getting booed.
It's only going to be like $15, Mari. Let's be clear. $15 in cheap plastic. Like
that's too much.
You're right.
So, do you think that like they're they're trying to see if this works for the crowd, and then they're like, okay, if they're not buying into her after this, then she's done for at SummerSlam.
There's always a bit of that. I would say, Mari, I'm curious your thoughts too, but they're always kind of keeping an eye out for what appeals to the crowd. The problem is they just don't always set people up for success so that they could be well received. I mean, like, we could love anybody. We could be super into any character if they just presented them the right way. And that's like the weird thing about wrestling.
Yep, and that's literally what we're kind of about to get into right here.
Oh.
So our next clip is Goldberg confronts Bobby Lashley in MVP. And so Goldberg, this promo itself was not honestly much. Something about gladiators, something about arena, something about you're scared. I don't know. It was just a Goldberg promo. But something to note was during the promo, the crowd started chanting, "We want Wyatt." Bray Wyatt was let go, I think, right after we stopped filming last week or something like that. Recording, Saturday Bray Wyatt, the Fiend, Bray Wyatt was let go. He was released as well, and the Chicago crowd started chanting, "We want Wyatt, we want Wyatt." Goldberg faltered for a little bit in that promo he had, but eventually he got the crowd back into it by just saying the Chicago, because we're easy like that when we're in the crowds. But this brings up several things. I kind of want to talk about the several the things before we talk about the Goldberg clip. We got no, we didn't get a question. People reacted to a Ronda Rousey tweet because Ronda said, "I've seen you same fans that are chanting 'We want Wyatt' last night, chanting 'We want beach balls' over a Bray Wyatt performance. If the WWE treated him like he was expendable, it was because you ungrateful idiots did it first."
Like,
so
what?
yeah. So
no,
that
us.
literally,
we're not ungrateful or idiots.
That kind of goes into this, like, it's kind of parallel with the Nikki A.S.H thing, because Ronda has a lack of tact, but some of what she's saying is kind of true, in a sense that y'all weren't chanting "We want Wyatt" until he was released, but during Fiend matches you were chanting "This is boring." You were like not paying attention. We had so many people talking about how the Fiend stuff was horrendous. That match with the Fiend and Seth Rollins, was that last year, a few years ago, or a year and a half ago, the people shat all over it in the red lights. You know what I'm saying? So it is very hypocritical. I get what Ronda is saying, but Matt, let me know what you think here. But the booking also does not help, because Bray Wyatt was never booked in a way that was very strong. Like, he would be pushed for a little bit, and then it just seems like he would fall flat on his face, up into even just WrestleMania. We have a whole podcast of me talking about how Bray Wyatt needed to win against Randy Orton and he lost. What did you think about this, Matt?
Just to touch on the Ronda side of things and the chanting with the Fiend,
and then just quickly do it.
The Fiend is amazing, just as a note, because
so good.
The thing is, even just looking at his picture, everyone has such a visceral reaction. The one and only Bryce Isaiah freaked out when seeing him. Josh Wiggler and Mike Bloom freaked out. Jenny, her eyes just went wide seeing
him. I was not ready for this.
I'm gonna sorry about that.
No, it's okay. I was getting used to it.
But that's the thing. He stands out. He's different. You're like, oh, I kind of like this now. But you know what? I think everything. I actually agree with what Ronda was saying, because people don't really always take responsibility for the things that they say and how their reactions actually are not helpful or lead to certain things. And so this was a weird situation where every wrestling fan under the sun's like, ooh, but I loved Bray Wyatt. I love him. And it's you know what? He could come back if you still love him. But you also haven't necessarily been showing that love or support. Or when you saw him wearing that mask and them doing that gimmick, like, were you supporting and saying how much you love him and just showing WWE that he's not expendable? Also, I will say this whole thing is ridiculous because we don't actually know the circumstances of him being let go from the company,
right?
And he could come back. So I haven't thought too much about this just because they've let go like 50 people at least this year. I think they just crossed, I know they just crossed that 50 mark. And so, well, if it's meant to be, he'll be back.
Exactly. And it was just something I wanted to briefly touch on because the crowds, they were trying to make themselves heard here, but it just does seem like how can we, it sounds like you're just taking a shot at WWE to take a shot at WWE. You didn't actually really care about Bray Wyatt, the superstar. You just wanted to make WWE feel stupid in the moment. Other than that, Ginny, was Goldberg somebody that you had remembered from watching?
Yeah. I was like, Goldberg looks old as hell, but
he's like 50 something. Yeah.
Which, like, I really shouldn't be age shaming, let's be real. But but when he opened his voice, I was like, or opened his voice. When he opened his mouth and started talking, I was like, oh yeah, okay, like, I'm brought back. Like, I remember this guy because he sounds the exact same. Wow, wouldn't you know, people's voices don't change.
Right.
But I was like, when he was there, I was like, he looks like he should be on like one of those like reality shows where they're like bidding on like abandoned like
the storage units?
Storage wars or something like that. I was like, is this wrestling or is this storage wars? Like, what's happening here?
That's awesome.
The talking in the third person,
weird.
I'm not a fan of this in any situation. But I understand its place in this, where it's like everyone is like, the ego is everything in wrestling. I understand.
Yeah.
But you can be egotistical without referring to yourself in the third person. Like, come on. I didn't love this.
And that's why I said this is literally your typical Goldberg promo.
Yeah. Nothing's changed.
Cut and paste, copy.
Yeah.
Like I said, I did give him props for being able to react to the crowd and respond. And you can tell that's a part of that old school wrestling where they're not entirely scripted or anything.
They're building off of like what's happening in real time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What did you think of seeing he walks off, Goldberg walks off, and then MVP notices Goldberg's son in the crowd and decides to go and berate Goldberg's son for some apparent reason.
Rude.
So rude.
This was interesting. Okay, so this is Bobby Lashley, right?
Bobby Lashley,
yes,
yeah.
That's Bobby Lashley. He's the champion.
So he says, "I'm gonna beat up your dad." So funny to me.
It is hilarious, isn't it?
Could you imagine?
Beat up your dad.
Could you imagine just like you didn't have to do all of that, and like, what's the point? Are you trying to make him cry? Also, as a complete side note, just to give Lashley and MVP the benefit of the doubt, why did Goldberg leave his son out there alone? Right. I felt like this was like a daddy wasn't there situation. Like, you're just gonna you think your son's gonna enjoy watching the next 3 hours of this show alone in the front row? No, he won't. And he didn't have.
I was kind of thinking that too. Yeah. And I'm trying.
He's not like a child. Like, looking at him now, this kid's like what, like 13?
Nice. Yeah,
I think he's probably 13, 14 or so.
14.
Okay. He looked a lot different when he was like when Goldberg was around a couple of years ago.
Like, this kid has definitely hit puberty. Like, just like he's like he's got like
muscle. Do you have that picture?
And
of him when he was when he was like 10.
Yeah.
Hold on. Yeah, it's wild because like he almost looks unrecognizable.
Yes, exactly. So while Matt tries to look that up, Ginny, I'm so glad that you were able to kind of clock that he was like young, because another thing that hit wrestling Twitter this week, where people were like, wow, Goldberg's son is hot, and people are like, guys,
he's still a minor, okay? Like,
he is a very much.
He's hit puberty does not mean you objectify this child.
He is 15.
You weirdos.
It was so weird. It was so funny because I saw the tweets before I saw the picture, And if Matt does end up finding it, we've seen what his son looked like before. And
oh my goodness. Okay, well that is literally a child.
Yeah.
There's literally like 3 years ago.
3 years ago. He's 12.
Puberty is wild, guys.
It is.
It is.
Hormones are
it's like when they recast a child on like a TV show as like a different, like all of a sudden they go from like being 5 to like 13 and you're like, it was like 6 months ago.
Yeah, it is kind of weird because like in the wrestling world, like this is like the one case where no one would be like literally no one on commentary was like, you know, he grew up a lot since the last time we saw him. Like maybe that's a good note to make, but that would be strange if like, you know, Goldberg just walked out one day and he'd gained like 100 pounds and, you know, maybe grew in some gray hairs on his little
I'm telling you, like are they priming this kid to become a wrestler and like because like they're including him in things, you know what I mean?
Are.
And like listen, the kid like looks pretty muscular for an early adolescent.
Yeah,
it'll go downhill by his like late 20s. From experience.
You're looking real muscular and it all goes downhill from here. I was kind of confused about like, okay, like what is it about the kid that's like that's just the way to get at Goldberg, and like they're melting off at him, and I'm just like, are we building some sort of like storyline for a literal child for some point?
It's been done.
We've seen it before, but also that is just when Goldberg came back a few years ago, seen in that photo, he said the only reason why he came back was he wanted to be a superhero for his son, because his son at the time his son had never seen him wrestle because he had retired. And then he went and had his son. Yeah. And then, so that's why he initially came back. And he's been back and forth for the last, like Matt said, 3 or 4 years now. So now I think everybody was just very much just shocked that, again, it went from that kid to that kid, you know?
Life comes at you fast, guys. It's been, the pandemic has had an impact on some people.
Honestly,
go touch some grass, y'all.
Go touch some grass. Yeah, you never know. Watch the grass.
We're looking at minors here.
Yeah. And I will say too, like they should have just cast someone else as his son. Like, couldn't they find another kid who looked like his son?
No,
3 years ago, and then they're like, oh yeah, that's definitely Goldberg's. Just cast someone else.
The integrity of the storyline, Matt.
Thank you, Jenny. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure, this is pro wrestling.
He walks away, as you guys acknowledge. He just like bye Wyatt, like you're on your own now. And then MVP is like, mouthing off at him. But then like this becomes an issue where it's just like, don't bring my son into this. And then Goldberg comes back. It's just like,
and spears the mess out of him,
which was kind of cool.
MVP. Yeah. Great picture there, Matt.
Oh, that's a big
so it was good. And this is just furthering the storyline. I am actually like, I'm looking forward to this match. Bobby Lashley, they're presenting him very dominantly. I am really hoping Goldberg does not win the championship at SummerSlam. But then again, I think we'll talk about it a little bit later. But if he does, it might not be such a bad thing. So next,
you can't just drop.
We'll talk about it later.
Okay, fine. We'll talk about why it might not be a bad thing. I'm like, we can't just leave that on a cliffhanger, but like we'll hang the cliff. Skip ahead to Mari's comments about this later at some point.
Exactly.
Probably at the 4-hour mark.
It's a teaser.
4-hour mark. Yeah. Exactly. Thank you. Jenny understands podcasting. So
don't turn off the podcast yet.
Real quick, I want to dive into really briefly, honestly, because I don't really care about this feud, but I definitely wanted to get Jenny's reaction to all of this. So we got Eva Marie and Dewdrop are continuing their feud with Alexa Bliss, but we had Tamina versus Dewdrop, and in this instance, we had several things happen. Tamina beat Dewdrop. Dewdrop had injured Tamina's partner, Natalia, famous Canadian there, Ginny,
Yes.
who is related to the Hart
A
family.
Hart, yeah.
Yeah, she is a
Like a
Hart.
cousin.
Sure.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
niece, probably.
She's a
Somebody's
niece.
cousin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
She's
she
somebody's
Bret
niece
Hart's
too.
She's
niece.
somebody's niece.
Yeah,
Definitely
she's
a
Bret
daughter.
Hart's niece.
Definitely somebody's daughter.
Yeah.
So
Not a mom.
so Natalia's out. Tamina went to get revenge against Dewdrop. Tamina beats Dewdrop. However, Alexa comes on the screen. She like makes fun of Eva Marie losing because Eva Marie before this, every time Dewdrop would win or anybody would win, she would say Eva Marie is the winner, not whoever actually won. So Dewdrop lost here. So Alexa Bliss said the loser is Eva Marie. We then got a segment where Eva Marie and Dewdrop attacked Alexa Bliss on her playground, and then Lily popped up. Okay, so again, I do not really care about this feud, only because I just don't understand it. Ginny, what do you think about these clips?
This was some corny shit.
Yeah. Very much.
Yeah, like so I had heard of Alexa Bliss and I had never actually seen her before.
Oh.
Mhm.
Like that name to me just sounds like a porn name, quite honestly. But
well.
no, I mean,
Well,
and I sometimes
said it.
forget that it's a wrestler, not a porn star, because it sounds like
it's one and the same at this
Yeah.
point.
But the
You
puppet,
said it.
what is happening with the puppet? I don't like it.
We still
It's very
don't know.
terrifying. What is the
Mhm.
playground? I like that whole scene was
Yeah.
weird to me because like when we had the interaction where they had Alexa on the screen being like, the loser is Eva Marie.
Yeah.
Like that was one thing, but then they had like the weird like without the crowd, the silence of the editing of that scene was like very, very weird. It was just like kind of I don't know. I think it just like bumped up the awkwardness of that whole thing.
Exchange,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. And like Dewdrop just comes and like kicks her off the swing.
Yeah.
And then yeah, Eva's like, this is evolution, and then the doll comes to life. Like I'm
yeah.
like I'm like, did I do drugs? What is happening like, in this situation here? What is this clip?
Yeah, and I will say too, like the they call it a playground. Alexa's playground, in fact.
Mhm.
It's a swing set. It's literally just a swing set. Can you imagine
AstroTurf,
like being a
big
kid?
grass.
Yeah, being a kid and they're like, oh, we're gonna go to the playground, have a good time. Oh my god, we'll have a slide, we'll have a merry-go-round, probably a teeter-totter, thing that you could climb and then jump
Monkey
off of,
bars?
probably maybe some
Mhm.
sand. None of it. It's literally a swing.
Yeah.
Like what? This is my problem with WWE.
Again, they're cutting costs, Matt.
Yeah, budget cuts.
Yeah, I didn't
Mhm.
understand what was happening here, but it was terrifying. I don't like dolls that come to life, and I don't understand. There was some like very juvenile energy with Alexa. Again, I don't really know much about her character, but I was just like, this is weird. I don't like this weird childlike stuff that's happening here.
Did it feel like a sexy baby?
Oh
yeah.
my god.
That's the other thing, because I was
You
like,
don't
okay,
like
this
it.
this
Don't like it.
girl's name sounds like a porn name, but
Mhm.
also she's like, I talk like a child and I have a doll. I'm like, I don't like this juxtaposition of like she's dressed
Right.
scantily and like
Mhm.
sexily, but she's got like this like baby voice and a doll and she's on a swing set. I'm not here for it. I don't like the juxtaposition of sexy child.
Agreed.
Okay, thank you for validating this opinion, because I'm
I
like,
just
why?
love how much we're going into like the kid dynamics here.
Yeah,
And you
like,
know, that's a
stop
great
That's what
point.
it's presenting.
Because
Yeah.
it like she wasn't always the sexy child in this thing, like
Yeah.
because there was one point, and I think it was whenever the Fiend returned, Mari,
Mhm.
back in February or early March or whatever
Early,
that
it was
was. But
yeah. Mhm.
there was a point where Alexa was kind of like, straddling Randy Orton, who was laying there, and like that there were like a lot of comments around like the sexiness of it, or like, what are you doing? Like there were actually a lot of there was something with Randy Orton's wife where she tweeted like, stay away from my man. So that was a whole mess. But I feel like that might have been like the turning point where they were really like, let's go from creepy sci-fi into more of like this sexy child thing, which is actually really strange.
I think it also, it just coincides with her face turn, if you can call it that, as well. Like, so Jenny, we showed you a picture of the Fiend. Alexa was like the Fiend's like right hand woman. Like the Fiend had brought Alexa into his playhouse. He had a playhouse. He turned her evil. Then he went away, and Alexa continued his legacy while he was away. Then he came back, immediately lost, and went away again. She said that she didn't need him. So she was much darker character, as you could imagine, standing next to the Fiend. They were two very dark characters. But then over the course of like the last few months or so, like it's turned from dark and spooky to, like Matt says, she has the doll now, but it's all like weird giggly play. She has also become more of a face. When we say face, she's supposed to be the good guy here, which going up against Eva Marie, of course.
Is she an own villain, like
Eva Marie?
Yeah.
Yeah, you remember? Did you?
I remember from Big Brother Celebrity. Yeah. I just didn't. I don't know her wrestling legacy.
Yeah,
so.
and I'm sure if you also saw it, you don't know much about her personality.
Exactly.
Either.
No,
non-existent.
But it seemed like they were blaming her for Dewdrop losing. Like the commentators even where they're like, "Don't listen to like," because she was trying to say like, "Oh, you didn't do what I said to do there, so that's why you lost." And then they were like, Dewdrop shouldn't have been listening to Eva Marie. So I was like,
exactly.
I always like, I'm trying to pay attention to like what the commentators are saying, because I'm like, whose side are they on here? Because I don't have always the background of like where like, because and not everyone agrees sometimes. Like that's a whole other part of it, is like the commentators having their own like personal investment on like what's happening here.
And that's the trick, because you have a commentator who's like a good commentator and a bad guy commentator, so they help you they spoon feed you who you should be rooting for. Sorry, Matt, what were you about to say?
No, I was just about to say Dewdrop was in a tough situation, like to figure out like, do I do what Eva's telling me to? I think Eva was telling her to like do a cross body, so like to do drop or to not drop, I don't know.
I know.
But it's like it was a lot. By the way, Jenny, just while we're still on this is what Alexa was like back in
that's
different.
April. Was that May?
This was WrestleMania. April.
April. Yeah.
Here's the thing. I'll take this over the child and doll thing. And this is terrifying. I should also make sure that you do know I'm very scared of this, but I would prefer this kind of persona to the weird swing set doll stuff.
So you like the black sludge and spikes and like pentagrams versus like the I'm with you there too. I'm like, how could you not?
It's a cool vest, honestly. Like,
she put some budget into that.
I do feel like it probably sucks to wrestle with like all of that like black face paint sludge. All like that's got to be uncomfortable. But I think it's I think it's a cooler look. Like I'm more intimidated by that. So
she didn't always show up like this. This was a moment.
It was a moment.
Like an oil
like coming out, but like if she's wrestling, they don't have her with like the sludge down her face.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's like an interesting combination with like the blonde like space buns with like the pink streaks through it. It's like, okay, well we're still like trying to serve like girly cuteness, but with like absolute like
terrifying
death demon like side here.
And that's exactly what we were originally giving. What she was originally giving there. So I mean, it's just weird.
We didn't talk about that back on WrestleMania, but she didn't get sludge in her hair, and that's
smart.
Art. She's a good artist. Yeah, good for her.
So another thing we have to bring up just from this this whole exchange is, again, Tamina came out. They referred to her as the one half of the women's tag team champions. They have not said what they're going to do about Natalya, because Natalya, like, we still don't know what actually happened, but she had surgery. So we got another question from Edmo on the Job Has a Squadcast page. He asked,
shout out to Edmo again.
Of course. He says, with Natalya being out, should WWE pair Tamina with Naomi? Perhaps even go as far as joining Roman and the Usos to compile more gold within that faction. I thought this was a great question here, because it's something I didn't consider. I didn't even think about it. So Tamina, in that first clip there, Janie, she is related to, well, wait, no, she's not related. She's not related because she's a snooker. But
you have the family tree pulled up.
I know. I feel I do this all the time. But Naomi is who you did not get to see. She was not featured this week. She's actually married to one of the twin brothers at the end of SmackDown, the Uso brothers.
Okay, yes.
Yeah. So she's married to Jimmy Uso. Tamina is like an honorary family member because she's like Fijian, and her father wrestled with their fathers back in the day. That Samoan lineage goes really far back. So they're saying, should we pair Tamina and Naomi together? Yep, there you go. I love Naomi so much. And yes, and they were previously paired up together.
Sorry, which one's? Oh wait, Tamina's on the right.
Yes, that's Tamina on the right, and that's Naomi on the left. They used to be Team Bad back in 2016, so they do have precedence. They are friends. They were on Total Divas together. They have tagged before. So we're thinking, do you bring Naomi in to be Tamina's backup? I don't know if you could just hand her the title. I feel like stranger things have happened. So definitely just go and stick her in there, so that's what Edmo's suggesting. Stick her in there, then join Roman and the Usos to add gold to the faction. So I like this idea. I really, really like this idea. I just want Naomi back on my screen, and because she is on SmackDown, and because the women's tag team titles can be defended on either brand, I would, yes, please let's do that. Matt, what do you think about that suggestion by Edmo? I mean, Edmo is booking on the fly here. I love it.
Yeah, I know, and I love it, and I love it, and my only problem with it is, like, I just don't think it will happen, but I wish that they would do that. Or I do hope that they'll go with the angle of, well, we're not just going to strip them of the championships. Tamina needs a replacement partner. So maybe we'll get that. Maybe we'll get there. But at the same time, I also feel like, I don't know. It's okay to dream. I'm with you, Edmo. I want this.
I know.
I want them back together, because, like, why not? There's so much there. It was just great to have them as Team Bad. That was an iconic period in WWE's
my favorite
women's history. The evolution, which I think at the time was what's the other word that they used? The women's revolution versus evolution.
Was it revolution? Yeah,
so, yeah,
women's revolution. Yeah.
They went back and forth with those things, but yeah, I would love to see them. Would love to see them back and at it again. But
I love Naomi. I want her back on my screen, please.
We love us a Naomi.
So yeah, great question by Edmo. Thank you so much, Edmo. And again, we'll have a few more questions throughout the broadcast here. And that's all for Raw. That's really all I really want to talk about. Raw was okay this week. We're kind of getting up the lead up to SummerSlam. We have 2 more weeks. So some stuff is dragging, some stuff is, going well. But other than that, you can, again, catch the highlights, our playlist. You can catch them in our description, in the show notes and the show description below.
Yeah.
So let's head on over to NXT. And NXT, we have to start with Dakota Kai telling us why she turned on Raquel Gonzalez. So I love this promo. I I really do. I watched this promo no less than 4 times. It's literally just Dakota talking directly to the camera about why she did what she did, and I loved every second of it. I think it might have been my favorite thing of the week, to be quite honest. I'm so happy for Dakota. I'm she's making me really interested in this feud. Matt, what did you think about this?
Oh my god. I feel like I'm bursting with pride
Right?
a little bit too for her. I don't know where that pride comes from. I'm just proud of her because like she's a great wrestler. We know
Amazing.
that. But did we know that she would be a great character, a great heel? No, and that's the thing that I was kind of always worried about with her. But to see, and she had the lighting in that promo, just the close-up shots of her face where you could literally see the anxiety. Like, we love some good acting anxiety in wrestling. It's great. But no, she really was leaning into it. And to me, this felt like it was like kind of like a therapy session, and I'm all here for it because she was just venting and it didn't feel forced. Because when I kind of was like going into this promo, I thought, why does everyone always feel the need to explain themselves? Like everyone always feels the need to be like, here's why I did what I did. Like people don't do that in real life. That's called a confession, and we're not here for that. So I loved this. Like we got the girl interrupted type of deal. Like I could just picture her being like, no more wire hangers. Like please. So this was possibly my favorite thing of the week too.
It's very dramatic. I found, I mean, as someone that had no context for what was going on here, I'm like, I would like the backstory here because I was like, okay, so they were friends. Raquel basically left her in the dust. She doesn't like want to be the sidekick. She feels like, and like that iconic line of like, I brought you into this world, I'll take you out of it. Like, I'm like, okay, so like she really feels responsible for this girl's success. And then basically like my interpretation of how this was presented to me is that, this Raquel girl like kind of came up with her and she helped elevate her, and then she kind of was like, I'm too good for you now. It's like your typical like mean girl type friendship thing where it was just like, now she's acting like she doesn't matter, and so that's upsetting. Dakota, is that like, what happened? I need a little backstory.
A little bit there. Dakota did a really good job of basically explaining it all in the promo. So Raquel Gonzalez first debuted in one of the Mae Young Classics. She was surprisingly, a couple. I can't remember which one. There's been two, but she was surprisingly upset by, I think it was Casey Catanzaro that actually upset her in the no. Are you looking it up? Anyways,
no, I'm not. I was just okay. I was looking up in my brain.
Okay.
That's what that was.
The brain wiki.
But like the gears are like smoking. So Raquel is actually, if I remember correctly, I think I've said it on a few podcasts, but Raquel is pretty new to the business. She is like a WWE sign on. They had her work the Mae Young Classic. She was still green. She lost, and she was just very young and just new to the game. And Dakota is a indie legend. She's known as Team Kick. Like people loved her. She had so much hype coming into NXT. And like Matt said, we've always been rooting for her, but they just never gave her anything to really sink her teeth in until she turned heel. She turned heel about 18 months ago. In the quest to turn heel, she brought Raquel Gonzalez in to be like her muscle. That's where you got shots of them like standing, next to each other. Raquel back to back. Yeah. Raquel helped her get through so many of the women, but Dakota just never got the championship throughout their partnership. And then as they were both, working, and Raquel's star started to rise. Raquel started to get more and more wins. Raquel, I love this part. I mean, it just total long term storytelling here that we knew it was coming, but I love it when they present it to us just like, here it is. Here you go.
Mhm.
That it goes back to that time that Dakota basically kind of called out Io Shirai after like she had lost to Io for like the second or third time, and Io Shirai walked right past Dakota to offer a title shot to Raquel. And I loved all the shots of them, like Dakota's face, like in every background, just so sad, like Dakota's face. And Raquel ends up taking the women's championship off of Io Shirai, and ever since then, Dakota has been right there. She's been helping Raquel keep her title. But like Dakota said, now all of a sudden I'm your sidekick, and I didn't appreciate that. And last week, Raquel was like, okay, who in the back, or 2 weeks ago, whenever, who in the back? There's nobody in the back who could face me. There's nobody. And that's when Dakota turned on her and straight up kicked her in the face. And I just did that. That's literally the clip, guys. That's why I went through the highlight here for the listeners. But it's also, it's just great storytelling. And it's not even that Raquel is a mean girl and turned her back on Dakota. It was that Raquel just started to look past Dakota. And Dakota's like, no, I'm here, and I am going to. When she said, "I brought you into this world, I'll take you out," I was like, "Oh my god, are you my mom?" Like
well, like she feels like she's Raquel's mom. She's like, yes, you'd be nothing without me. Show some respect.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was so good. And then I also missed the section in there where Raquel was the champion, and so her and Dakota actually me and Matt talk about this all the time, and I guess this finally paid off. Dakota and Raquel won the Women's Dusty Club Classic as a team, and they were the women's tag team champions, NXT Women's Tag Team Champions.
NXT Women's Tag Champions,
the inaugural women's tag team champions, and they lost it literally the same night. So yes, they lost it the same night, and me and Matt have complained, or me mostly have complained about it.
I liked it.
I complained about it up and down for like why would you only put it on for them for 2 hours?
It doesn't matter.
But it finally came to fruition here.
Right.
And she said, after you won your championship, you didn't care about getting tag team gold for me. And this was shades of the Golden Role Models, the Sasha Bailey feud last year as well. So it was just so great. I that's why I loved it. Whenever WWE draws on history, that's when you feel as close to it as a fan, at least as a fan who watches on a daily basis, in my esteem.
And whenever they draw on real emotions, right?
Yes.
And this kind of has me thinking, like, Jenny, we were talking about this on the podcast, but last week, but like, would you rather be the one who's getting kicked in the face?
Oh God.
But you're the champion, or would you rather be the one kicking your former best friend in the face? Which aligns more with you, with your spirit right now, with your Libra vibes today?
I would rather be the one getting kicked in the face.
I know.
Same.
Like I personally can't live with like being the bad person in the situation.
Yeah.
And if I'm kicking my best friend in the face, I don't think that I don't think I'm the good guy in that situation. And
exactly.
That deeply hurts my soul. And so I think that that's probably where I'm going on that one.
And that's the funny thing. Yeah, for you guys, I would definitely be doing the kicking. But this
is like, would you rather win and be hated or lose and be loved? And I like want to be like, I want to say I'd rather win and be hated, but I'm like, I've seen Twitter. I don't want to be hated. I want to be loved. Love me, please.
But that's the funny thing. This is Dakota. She's the bad guy in this feud, but I'm also just very excited for her. You know, like you can't not be excited for her. We forgot, Jenny. Did you want to? Speaking of astrology, did you want to try and guess like Dakota's?
I was making guesses through
the Raw.
I was making in my notes about people. I did not make a guess on Dakota, but like
mm-hmm.
I feel like it's like it's fire sign energy to me in a way where she's like very much like I'm the center of attention, like I'm the one responsible for this, and like feeling some type of way about like the attention being taken off of her, which is what made me think that I'm feeling like maybe a Leo or an Aries rise. The one thing I did say is I think Charlotte Flair is definitely an Aries, but I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Is Charlotte Flair related to Ric Flair?
Yes, that's Ric Flair's daughter.
Okay. Because I was like, I mean, you could just make that last name and it's not, but like in the world of wrestling, like I feel like that's probably you must.
By the way, this whole thing is very confusing too, because it's like you're the person, but who's also like playing the character.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So it's like
exactly. Yeah. So speaking of which, for Dakota is a Taurus, actually.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, that's why you relate to her so much.
Yes, exactly. Yes. And
I was just gonna say, like, from my experience with Taurus is like, if you wrong me and you lose my loyalty, you are dead to me.
Yes,
and
very much so.
I definitely got that energy where it's just like you didn't appreciate me and like what I've done for you and the friend that I've been to you and what we've accomplished together. So you're done. Like
you're done.
What I mean? Yeah, you're done. And that is very, very Taurus energy. So like I think I was fixating so much on like it's about me and like I was responsible for this, but like I can see the more of like if I feel like you've betrayed my like trust, then it's over. So that
because
I can see that.
That's
because that is the underlying of the feud itself. It's like you outshine me, but also you acted like I wasn't there anymore. So, but spot on. Charlotte Flair is an Aries.
Oh,
and
that was just like
wow.
Yeah.
Come on, Aries
sometimes
season.
I know. Sometimes I have a good feeling.
That's because Charlotte is playing Charlotte, so I'm not surprised at all that that was much easier a time. Yeah.
What were some other ones that I guessed on?
Oh my gosh, this is getting wild.
The rest of them we'll get into it as we get to the next people. I didn't make guesses on well, also this like package, I didn't really get to know Raquel as much, because it's all through Dakota's like narrative. So I have no like input on what Raquel is, but
and as a side note, I kind of feel like that Raquel's personality, at least for me, hasn't truly come across. Like I don't feel like I really know who Raquel. I feel like this is very like much so like a RuPaul's Drag Race comment. Like I don't really know. Like we don't know you. Like we know you, but we don't know you. And that's it. Like her personality just doesn't shine through as much, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly.
And how are people supposed to root for you if you're not showing your personality? Isn't that like the whole point here?
Maybe Jenny, she just has her inner saboteur. I think it might be her inner saboteur working against her and her friend kicking her in the face. That's a lot.
Okay, so we also got I really want to hear y'all takes on this, because we got Zoe Stark trying to connect with Io Shirai. I just included, we didn't talk about it last week. So last week we got a clip of Zoe Stark saying that her and Io need to be on the same page. We need to be friends. Io was like, I don't want to be friends. She's like, okay, well, we need to be partners, because they are the NXT Women's Tag Team Champions, which is just very crazy to think about, because again, they don't know each other. Just they tagged 2 times and now they're the champions, and then they don't even hold the belts. So I don't even understand what is happening with this.
You mean like physically they don't?
They physically do not carry the belts. So it's very weird. So that was last week's clip, but this week we get Zoe and Io trying to bond over sushi, and this was Jenny. What did you think of this? I want to hear like.
So how often do we
Jenny,
get these
you
like
start this out?
So how often do we get these like little packages of like this is outside of the ring life happening? Like is this common?
Thankfully not.
Not too often.
This was interesting.
But they hit and miss. They hit and miss. Yeah.
So this was uncomfortable on many
there
levels.
it is. Yeah.
I was like, this is so, because we get the conversation beforehand before they go for sushi together, about like being like, we need to like, you know, be friends, and like, it's Io, right?
Yes, Io.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So she's like, I respect you, I don't like you.
Yeah.
And like, I'm getting like, you know, if we're gonna talk astrology, I'm getting like earth sign vibes from Io, like either like Capricorn or Taurus, I feel like, where she's just kind of like, I don't mess with this energy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm either feeling you or I don't. But then like, just like the discomfort of this whole interaction at the restaurant where like Zoe has no idea like what's going on, and then Io is like talking to the like server in like Japanese.
Yeah, Japanese.
And so she just orders what like Io gets, and then like she's like spitting everything into like a napkin and throwing it on the floor. I'm like, what is this happening?
What was happening here?
This was so weird. So yeah, so they're going
to Japanese food. Like, this is not.
So, and to put this into perspective, Jenny, this is probably the most Zoe Stark has said, like, words.
She said too much.
Well, yeah, like she's fairly new to the NXT scene. A lot of I know there's a lot of hype for her. I can't remember if she's like known from the indies, but I don't know much about her. And this is the first character that they've really given her. Like, normally she just goes out there and wrestles. So the character you guys decide on is dumb American, like
first and last character. She's about to be canceled.
What's this green stuff? Is this guacamole? As she like shovels wasabi into her mouth.
I'm like, did you live under a rock? Like, to
also,
not know
like, what kind of human? I mean, who does that? Like, think about this. Like, oh my gosh, I've never tried that food before. I'm just gonna throw a ton of it into my mouth. Like,
she throws like octopus like against the wall when like it was just so.
You could
OTG.
just leave it on the plate. I mean, then I do understand. You know, she wanted to clear that. It's so bizarre.
It is straight out of the
going to be
sitcom.
the dumb American. You just leave the food on your plate, like. But maybe she did feel a little bit of the social pressure. Like, I need to seem like I enjoy this. Just you don't need to be friends. This is what I'm saying. You don't need to be friends. You could be partners and not friends, and that's okay. And just don't stop trying, Zoe. We didn't want it.
It was just so weird. It was very kind of insensitive.
Yeah, racially
insensitive.
Like, oh, are you from like was the server like, oh, are you from Japan? And she's like, I'm from Kansas. Like,
well, it's just weird.
It's like, Zoe, you need to stop speaking.
Literally nobody's from Kansas. Like, come on, don't lie to us. Literally nobody is from Kansas.
Oh my gosh.
But this is messed up on a few different levels, because like you have the character interaction, but then you have like, imagine if this was a reality show, you have the edit, like some things you could edit out. And I would edit out like, ooh, she doesn't know how to use chopsticks. Let's just leave that out. Ooh, throwing the octopus against the wall. Let's also just edit that out. That might be a little insensitive, make some people feel not great.
Spitting food out into napkins, throwing it at your feet.
That was the whole segment. Like, they were clearly trying. That was what they thought the comment was. They're like, oh, she's silly and doesn't understand another culture. Like, she's just trying to like get along with somebody different, and look at different people and they can't relate. Like,
I feel like the only way they can rectify this is if like Zoe takes Io to like, I don't know, like country line dancing or something.
No, the only way they can rectify this is with a notes app apology. That's the same time for it.
Also, did anyone pay this bill? Because like, Zoe goes for the hug, and like Io leaves her with the bill, and it's like, she said, later, bitch. And then the awkward interaction between Zoe and the server, and then Zoe leaves. I'm like,
they dined and dashed.
They're both Japanese. They must know each other, right?
Exactly. Thank you.
And they both come directly from Japan. Obviously, Zoe. Like, this was so weird.
So bad.
Like, how often are they doing this on this show? Like, Anyway,
I did
Not
like
often
I
at
do
all.
feel like this was very much like a kids show type of like um like lesson that they were forcing in here,
Yeah.
because the server says, well, Zoe says, like, do you and EO know each other? Which, like, first of all, that's when the server should have just slapped her across the face.
it's like, no.
And gotten into wrestling training. But she's like, no, we just speak the same language, which is like a beautiful lesson. Very strange, like, thing to say in response to, do you know each other? Like, no.
But
Leave me alone. Please don't talk to me. I'm not paid enough for this.
But the sad thing is, when she said that, Zoe's like, huh, next week we're gonna get Zoe trying to speak Japanese. I think I would put money on it.
I don't think we're gonna see that, Mari.
And I think it is gonna be so bad.
Mari, we're not gonna see
that.
It's
gonna be so bad.
We're not gonna see it. What we are, you know what we're gonna get? Let me tell you. What we're gonna get is we're gonna get Zoe going in to talk to William Regal, who's the general manager.
Nope.
William Regal used to team with a Japanese wrestler named Tajiri. And this was like early 2000s, and the racial dynamics and the racial insensitivity was off the charts. Just pure great. They're gonna have some kind of reference to that, I feel like, somehow. I don't know how. I don't want to see it. I'm just letting you know what my third eye is telling me. I think that's a thing.
It is a thing.
I mean, I think I have it. Yeah.
So before we're done with this sitcom, something straight out of a sitcom, Jenny, you're right. Io Shirai is a Taurus. So again, another character
like,
that's close to the person.
Energy. Like she's like, I don't have time for this. Like, we don't have to be best friends. Like, let me live my life.
Yes.
I feel like this whole look, Jenny, you're a little bit too good at this, because I thought to myself, oh, there's no way Jenny's gonna be able to like peg what signs people are, because they're all playing characters, and also they're all like wrestlers, and I wonder if there's like certain signs that choose to be wrestlers, but you have this figured out.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, it's like a lot more complicated than that, because like it's like it's but sometimes you just get like an energy from someone, and you're like, even if that's not your sun sign, you got some sort of that energy happening in you. So
you
I mean, give me all these people's birth charts, and I'll tell you like what makes them
exactly.
But again, like you said, they're playing characters, so it's like, but behind every character, like everyone brings like a piece of themselves, to, like the character they're playing, right? So
the characters should be them up to 11.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think again, the ones you definitely got head on were people who were pretty much not playing characters, if anything. Right. Yeah. So it was Io and Zoe. I cannot believe that they're the champions, and we have not seen the belts in like 2 weeks. That's amazing. So finally, the headline of the night, which I really got a kick out of. I love this story. We got it was Dexter and Loomis versus Johnny Gargano in a love her or lose her match. But I definitely sent there was a video of the story of Indi and Dexter Loomis that I sent Jenny, and that I watched. This storyline really has been going on for months and months and months, and I love that video because it kind of put everything into perspective. And then last week on NXT, Indi Hartwell received a drawing from Dexter Loomis, insinuating that he kind of wanted to join the way. And so Johnny Gargano, she proposed that Johnny Gargano and Dexter Loomis go one-on-one, and if Dexter wins, then you have to give him a chance. And that's the second clip there. And then finally we get, I should have said, I just realized I kind of double clipped it there. But anyways, we then get Dexter Loomis versus Johnny Gargano in the match. And before we reveal the results, let me ask Matt first. What did you think of the story, the rise of Index?
Which is
I have to say,
it's so amazing.
Index first, and it didn't even occur to me really. Like I didn't even like truly take in the Index thing until now, because we're seeing it. It's being realized. But you know what? Indi, she's a freak. Dexter, he's a freak. We have two of the freakiest freaks of WWE together here, and I'm not mad about it. I've liked this because they've kind of been building this up for like the last 3-4 maybe more months, and it started out as like a Dexter who's totally like a Dexter the other Dexter gimmick.
Dexter Loomis.
Dexter Loomis, who's the I don't know what the other Dexter like
I don't know where you getting out there. Oh, Dexter's Laboratory?
The murderer one. The cop murderer.
Oh, right. Yeah, Dexter. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that one. No one cares about his last name. Anyway, that's the vibes that we get from Dexter Loomis. So I like that they're able to be together and freak with each other. But at the same time, I'm sad that we're not going to get like the nice family portrait all together.
I
where
know.
We have them all like, loving on. Actually, that'd be a little too freaky. I don't want like the one couple and the other couple and then
is it Candace?
Candace, yeah, Candace
and Johnny are a couple.
Yes, they're married.
Part of like,
in real life.
They're part of like a group
faction
with Indi.
Yes.
Now, was Dexter with them at one point?
No, they actually had another guy named Austin Theory who was in their faction, and Dexter kind of like kidnapped Austin Theory at one point.
Yeah,
like Dexter Loomis has actually been been antagonizing Johnny and Austin for months now. They've been on and off like rivals and stuff. So Dexter has never been in the group, but as he's been antagonizing Johnny, Indi has just like kind of an infatuation with him. He clearly has an infatuation with her. From the story of them, they just were always like it's very Romeo and Juliet, like star-crossed lovers,
right? Yeah,
type deal. So I was actually hoping it when we got this match. I was like, okay, all right. So if Dexter wins, then like Matt says, we get the creepy family portraits. I really wanted to see like the way, and then
he was going to join the family.
Join the family. Dexter did. He actually does those drawings. Yeah, all of those.
This is a thing.
Yeah, this is a real thing. He does those drawings.
Is it actually
him? Yeah, it's actually him.
Oh,
yeah. They've
been
in
free time.
I don't know, but they've been using it in his in this story for months now.
I just didn't even realize that he actually drew those.
Yep. Okay. It's kind of like caricature.
Yeah.
That's his future career.
Yeah. Well, hopefully he doesn't get future endeavored, but
we didn't really get like, so this is my issue, and like, trust me, I love a good love story. Like I said, I'm all about the relationships and the storylines and the drama and who's in with who.
Yeah.
But like, I didn't understand. I feel like I got nothing about Dexter. He was very, very mysterious to me.
Yes.
Like, I'm like, okay, Indi is like very, very into this guy, and she's just obsessed with this man.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't even know if he likes her because like we don't get anything from him. And I think that was just the way that like things were cut, but like I want more answers. I don't know. He was very like sorry, my cat.
It's okay.
He's very like mysterious vibes to me. So I'm like, it was hard for me to feel like invested in their love story because I'm like, I need to hear that he's into her as well. But we get like the setup of that, like they were trying to like sabotage their relationship by like sending like some other girls got sent flowers that were supposedly from Dexter, but it wasn't actually from Dexter. It was from some other girl. It was like
it was from Candace.
Candace doesn't want this to be a thing.
Candace and Johnny do not want them to be together. That's why Johnny is trying to take over. Johnny wanted to win that match so that Indi will be done with Dexter and she can focus on them as a group.
It makes me sad because like, okay, does Dexter want to join their little faction just because of Indi, or does he actually want to like does he want to be friends with these people too? Like, I just like,
well, so from that drawing it looked like he wanted to just be there, I guess for Indi. I don't know, what did you think, Matt? Right, he wants to be included, he wants to be accepted by them.
Yeah, he's just really emotionally unavailable, and
What?
I think
We didn't watch the same thing.
No, he is emotional. I mean, I think
I don't think emotionally unavailable would be the word. I would say like emotionally inexpressive. I think the story they've been trying to paint is he doesn't say it. He draws it. You know what I'm
He
saying?
expresses his love through art.
Yes,
And
exactly.
Actions over words person.
Exactly, Jenny.
Okay.
Yes.
He is, but you know what? I think Indi deserves better, because I do foresee them having some communication issues between the two of them in their
Dexter
relationship.
doesn't talk.
I know. Exactly.
That might be the first of their communication issues.
Maybe not emotionally unavailable, but like emotionally inaccessible, because you're not sure how to get to him unless you give him like a box of Crayola crayons and a piece of paper. So
wow.
I mean, I'm not a hater. I'm just saying, like, he just is like, he has some things to work on.
Tortured artist vibes.
Yes, exactly, and that's what I like. He's very quiet.
When you put it like that,
there you go. And
I can see
I
what
think
she sees in him.
And so if you see that clip, if you watch the clip that because that was a fan clip, really, y'all.
I was gonna say, it was like
a fan clip.
It was wedding music of like,
Love Me Like You Do.
Yeah,
it was Love Me Like You Do. I loved it.
Was this actually on like the show? But I was like, this has to be a fan edit.
No,
when I was watching it, I was like, oh wow, WWE like they paid the rights for a cover to this song, and I mean it's
not at all
playlist. So I wish.
Mari actually made this video. Is the real secret?
No. We got to give props to whoever's there. I am an index stan, but we got to give props to whoever made it, because I can't do it. And all they did was just take the clips that WWE, did, and they just pushed them all together in a very digestible story. And when you see it, like there are times where I guess if you haven't been keeping up, it can be confusing, because it just went from one into the other. Like the moments just kept bleeding into each other. So like there was one moment where Dexter it was always like miscommunication. So Dexter was listening on the headphones when Candace and Indi were saying something about, like, Candace was like, you don't need to be with Dexter and all that. And so you saw he had the headphones on, and then he turned and he had the tear down his cheek.
Yes.
Or that when they were having the massages, and then Indi said something like, okay, I'm over him, but he was like standing right over her about to say something, and then he walked away. Or when Indi was about to tell him how she felt about him, and she came in and Poppy was hugging him, and he was just sitting there like this.
Oh, that's who that was.
That's Poppy.
You know what? Let me just no. I was gonna back down, but you know what? I'm gonna go full force on this one, because I just feel like Indi Hartwell deserves better.
Wow.
Because at the end of the day, you don't need to spend time like trying to figure out what this man's thinking, what his emotions are. I mean, I know that she gets him in a lot of ways, but I also feel like there's been a lot of torture and suffering from trying to make it work. Like, ask him to go to therapy and work through his issues so he can communicate with you more.
That's because of Johnny and Candace.
On his relationships with Johnny and Candace so you could be friends. The problem is he's been going around kidnapping people, and it's not right. And I just feel like this is not a healthy situation for either of them. And now I feel like I'm being protective like Johnny Gargano, which I also think is wrong.
See,
because
that's my issue.
And screw him. But I'm just
why are her friends getting involved? Like, it's like, if you think it's a mistake, let her make her mistake. You're just going to alienate your friendship with her by trying to like control her, which is like clearly what's happening. They're like intruding upon, like, you know what? Even if you think that something is wrong, you have to let people figure this stuff out for themselves. You cannot save people from themselves as much as you want to. And if you truly think that Indi is making a mistake with this Dexter guy, then you just let her figure it out for herself, and then love her and support her when she gets her heart broken, if that's truly what you expect to happen, because you are only going to drive a wedge between you and her by trying to control this situation. And
and that's exactly what happened.
figure out, though. It's very
Was that
hard.
directed to me or to Johnny?
No.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, you might
I
be
felt
like
that.
inserting yourself into
No, you know what? I'm gonna let her do this. I trust her. I'm gonna trust my friend Indi and just let her do her thing
my
and have that
personal
tender touches.
Tender
Did you see
touches.
that in the match? There was like a nice cheek caress.
Yes.
By the way,
So the sucky thing about
spell.
this clip that I sent you, Jenny,
So
is
sensual.
they really cut the match down because the match,
They
of course,
did.
was like 15 minutes. So
Right.
you know, me and Matt, we watched the whole show, and there were so many really cool things in that match that they took out for the clip.
Yeah.
Like Matt said, there was tender touches. Like Dexter
So, like,
would
he would
stop
come
and
to the edge of the ring and like they would touch each other.
Sure. Yeah, there was some. That's. I mean, yes is the short answer.
Right. And Indi was like trying to kind of distract Johnny, like her and Dexter's she would be trying to interact with him so much so that Johnny would like have to try and get like
because he was trying to stop it.
Yeah,
get him off his game.
Yes. And then Candace, they showed Candace was trying to get Indi to stay out of the way. So the one part we did get on the clip was Dexter and Loomis went under the ring, and then Indi went to look for him, and they pulled Indi out, and he came out with her.
Yeah,
so
it was like
weird.
it was like a full drag of like a train of people being dragged out from under the ring. I was like, what is all this happening?
Very funny. But Johnny Gargano
just goes
won
ham on Dexter and wins.
Wins. I was surprised, actually. Yeah, I was shocked they were gonna go with
and
that.
then what? I mean, first of all, I'm not going to go into the stipulation, but I don't think I really understand. I don't think I really understand the quote unquote love her or lose her stipulation in name. Like, I get what was the dynamic. But
okay. Yeah.
Love her or lose her. I guess that's maybe like framing it around Dexter, like either he could love her or he's gonna lose her.
Exactly.
Or it's like, if you truly love her, you will win this fight. Yeah. And then if you don't, you lose her.
Yeah. Either way, once it was over, the Johnny and Candace tried to tell Indi, let's go. She stopped and she ran back and she jumped on that man. That was
ate his face.
That was a kiss, y'all. I mean,
was it? Like,
it was fake. It was, it was an acting kiss.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, I'm not listening.
Looked like it.
I'm not here to tell anyone what's fake and what isn't. All right, that's not what I'm here to do.
Well, you're the expert. You're the one who covers
Tell us
dummies on islands and stuff.
Well, I talked about this at great length on the Love Island podcast that I was on with Kirsten and Scally. That she was giving me Shannon kiss vibes, where she's like, her head is like switching sides. Like, I'm dizzy watching this, but she's obviously like flipping her head back and forth because it's like, I need to somehow show that this is like a passionate kiss and that there's like raw passion. But it almost kind of fell a little bit flat to me, that I'm just like, I'm trying to like, again, this is how I feel about
Love
kissing, is that I feel like it doesn't need to be like so aggressive all over the place, like you're making me dizzy watching it. Like a real passionate kiss, it's like you guide each other. It's a little bit more slow. It's like a little bit more
sensual.
Like, yeah, like it's a little bit more in sync.
They need to play like "Love Me Like You Do" in the background. And
I'm telling you, it got me so hyped
about it.
I think that's the only reason why I'm so for them, because that fan video was really good.
I feel like it was like their wedding music. Like they were like walking up. Like,
I know. I was thinking, like, are these two in a real relationship? Like, maybe.
I was trying to figure it out. Yeah,
I don't think so. But anyway,
I don't think so either. Great acting.
Because then that kiss would have made me feel more, I think, if they were in a real relationship.
I will say the thing that just flashed through my brain that kind of like it freaked me out was thinking about just the different wrestling kisses we've seen, and specifically my brain went back between 15 and 20 years to so Edge, who we will see on SmackDown, and Lita, and when these two would kiss in the ring, it was literally like I feel like they got direction to like hyper extend their tongues so you could see just all of the
Yeah.
And it's still
But
my
again,
brain.
they were actually dating
traumatized.
though.
20 years later.
That
I am.
they
they're
they were
like-
actually dating, so that's why
They
they
were,
could
but it was still
legit.
awkward. It was just awkward, and
Oh,
like no
definitely.
one needed that much tongue in the
Right.
situation, and
The
there was
live
a
sex
lot.
They need
celebration.
everyone
was a
in
live
the
sex-
building to be able to see what's happening in this kiss. You have to exaggerate all of the tongue motions.
Yeah.
So now
And-
Mari's gonna cue up the live sex celebration that happened between them in 2005, 2006, and
I
we're
am
gonna have you
not.
give live comment. It was a mess.
No.
No one.
Perfect.
We're not gonna go into that right now.
But
are
I
we?
mean, Indi and Dexter at first it was all like, okay, but then like he kind of sat up, and I was like, oh my god, do I need to turn the channel for this? Like this is y'all are. But then again, I don't. I hate. I'm on record. Bachelorette podcast, Love Island podcast. I hate watching people kiss. So I'm always like this, like.
Damn. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I did not even really see their lips touch, so I'm still
I
not
don't think it
certain that
did.
there was that. The
I think it was
happened.
like
There was
the
a lot of whipping
whole
heads back and
the-
forth. And,
the acting thumb.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what I think
Holding
I
your
saw.
face and yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, I want you guys to commit to it, okay? Like
Yeah.
actual actors have to kiss in the movie sometimes. This is
Yeah.
part of your job. Make me believe in your romance.
There you
I
go.
want more.
Jenny,
Yeah.
any guesses on maybe Indi's
Okay, I did
zodiac
actually
sign?
write some guesses for Indi.
Oh,
Okay, so
yes.
so I think that like the hyperfixation on romance and her like love life gave me like either like Libra or Cancer or Leo were my three guesses for Indi in that.
Pick at least two or one out of those three.
What?
I'm gonna say Libra or Leo. Because I also think that like underlying like a lot of these people are like have Leo tendencies because it's like attention,
Have
right?
to,
Because they're
yeah.
performers. Like a lot of like actors are Leos, like it's just a thing. But I just think that like the hyperfixation on like the romance and like that gave me like Libra or Leo.
Damn.
Yep.
Jenny.
Indi Hartwell is a Leo.
Okay, well they're all Leos, but and then okay, the problem is like with Dexter is like I don't really know much about him.
Yeah,
so
that would probably be very
my
hard.
guesses for him are like because they had like the tortured artist thing about him, so which like
Yeah.
screams like very like water sign heavy to me, and that I think that, but he's also mysterious, but which could just be like he's like he is not speaking, so I have no insight on what his personality is. That could just be like a me read, but like tortured artist thing is like kind of like the emotional part of it is like kind of like Pisces to me, but I think it also could be Scorpio because Scorpio is like very mysterious and very like intense sexual energy, and so obviously like there's something about this man that draws Indi in, so I'm trying to figure it out. Like he might just have like that intensity, like that unspoken intensity about him that is kind of like a Scorpio vibe, but like he's also an artist, and like the artistic part is like very Pisces to me. So those are my two guesses for him.
Wow.
So for Dexter Loomis, he is a Capricorn, so that is a water sign, right? No,
Capricorn is
Earth. Okay,
I told you, Jenny, emotionally unavailable.
Jenny is
that also. I mean, like that's the thing is like now maybe I'm not as invested in their romance.
Why are they not a good match?
You know what? I need to know their Venus signs. I need to know their Mars signs. Like they could still be. You know what? If they're happy together again, Johnny and Candace, let them figure it out for themselves. Stop trying to involve yourself in this.
Yeah.
Did you have any?
There are fingers in between. Definitely.
Yep.
Yeah.
There
I mean,
it
you
is.
could get around the fingers. Maybe there's a little.
He doesn't even have his hands on her.
Yeah, it wasn't until the end.
Yeah, no, I did see at one point in the clip he had like his hand on her hip.
Right. Yeah, it was very. Yeah, it was initially like, whoa.
I did love that she like jumped on him. She like I was like, is she gonna hurt him?
That was like a wrestling. That was a wrestling.
That was a wrestling.
I was like, the kissing
Stone Cold used to do it all the time.
Fighting. I was like, this is so aggressive. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
anyway,
that's it for
right?
our NXT highlights.
Yes.
I mean, great show for NXT there.
That was
Now
a
let's
We need to
weird.
find out what happens
That was
next for these
what did
crazy
we just?
kids.
That was such a
What?
That was a weird like show for us to cover. It was interesting. I
Oh,
think
okay.
but who else would we rather have here talking about the people making out than Jenny Autumn and their
Yeah.
astrological signs? Come on, thank you, Jenny. Like that was really
Anytime.
enlightening.
I need
I
to.
think that
I'll have to stay tuned for updates on like where this goes because like he lost the match and she was basically said, "I don't care. Nothing is
Yeah,
stopping me." So I
I
need to
think,
find
like
out what
you
happens
said,
next.
yeah, like you said, they pushed her away, and now it's
Yeah.
just like she gone.
Yeah.
that's love.
Next up, we have our Smackdown highlights
Smackdown
of the week. Again, same type of thing. We're around the corner from SummerSlam, so some things are just falling into place. Some are just continuances. Nothing super major. Yeah, we did get Sasha. Sasha and Bianca opened the show. Sasha, Bianca, and Zelina Vega. Sasha comes out. She addresses like she basically laughs like, yes, last week I beat Bianca down. It's because Bianca would be nothing without me. She said that's why she saved her. She won the match. She said I am the one who helped her get there. I was at home, and Bianca was not appreciative of all the things that I did for
No.
her. And this was peak heel Sasha Banks. Loved it. We then get Bianca comes out to confront Sasha, saying like, "Okay, I didn't need you. You don't want to watch me shine. We did this together, but I didn't need you." Oh, I love that picture of Bianca. Holy cow. She is fiery right there.
That
And
lipstick.
yes, and
Yeah.
then we also got Zelina Vega to come in and interrupt like most promos do. Ginny, what did you think of just all of thisness of these
Well,
women?
I love all of them, which was like the
Yes.
complicated part is that
Right.
like I was like I don't know how I'm supposed to feel. And that's the other thing is like without having the history like watching this I'm very much trying to figure out like what does the show want me to feel? Like how
Mhm.
does the crowd feel? How do the commentators feel? Like I was like very much like analyzing like
Yeah.
who is getting the support here and trying to figure that out. And this was very complicated for me because I was like they're all queens.
Yes.
I like loved certain things about all of them, and I was like, like Sasha with like the like I told you I'm the boss, and I'm like, okay, you are, yes, you are. And I was like trying to again like without some of the context of like their story, but it was like the same sort of thing as the Dakota and Raquel thing where it was like you would be nothing without me, like don't forget where you came from stuff. And I'm like, this is like very much a thing where it's just like people don't want other people outshining them.
Yeah.
And it's like a very big like attention thing. It's like, okay, like I want like, do your thing, but like don't outshine me. So I'm like, again, I'm a Libra and I just want everyone to get along, but I want to understand why. Let me
Yeah.
get to the root of it. This is why I'm trying to give like relationship advice to Indi and Dexter and get like, Johnny and Candace to respect everything that's going on. I was like, let's all like respect each other here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was trying to figure out like, okay, so the Zelina of it all, like, is she is this just like we have a common enemy? Are all three of these people ending up fighting each other at some point? Is this like another example of like a potential like three-way type thing? Or like is everyone jealous of Bianca? Like I'm just trying to find out what's happening here because
Yeah.
I'm like, why can't we all just be
Yeah.
friends? Because you're all like very epic strong women, clearly.
Yes, that's what I was about to say. So valid
They need
question.
you, Jenny.
Yeah. Before we answer that question, can you just give us an overview, like minus the really trying to figure out what they want you to feel? How did you actually feel like once you first heard what Sasha Banks was saying, then versus when Bianca came out being the women's champion, then versus Zelina coming out? Like, what did the women themselves invoke in you?
Okay, so at first, I was like, okay, Sasha feels like betrayed. And so I'm like feeling for her because I'm just like, okay. But then so they were together and then she like beats her up. And so I'm like, I was rooting for you guys. I was like, okay, so I got mad at Sasha because I was just like, okay, that was not very nice of you. That was not very cash money of you to like beat up your friend right after you accomplish things together. And so then I'm like, okay, well, I need to understand a little bit more about Miss Bianca here to understand like why she is invoking this kind of vitriol. And I just loved everything about Bianca's energy. Her look was iconic. I love that she always has like a full-on glittery lipstick that goes with
all the
her
time.
outfit. I'm just like,
Matt, throw the pics up, please.
Yeah.
Yes, like look at it, matches her mermaid sequin shorts. Like it is a look. I have concerns about this braid. I feel like it's
no. How dare you?
That's her signature.
Of course, this is easy for the wrestler.
I have no problem with it, but I feel like is that not like she's just giving people things to pull?
Yes,
that's
exactly.
True. And you know what? I'm not going to go in on, but you bring up a good point. More people should be pulling her braid than do. But it does
you want more hair pulling?
Well, no. I just mean like logically, like that would be the first thing I go to. Instead of like anything else. So, but you know what? Just aesthetically, I have to give her credit because we get she has the just all of it, like the color scheme works here.
Yes.
Works.
I love a good teal moment, and she's giving that to me here.
Blue.
But she's very sassy, and I love this because she's not backing down from anything. She's just like, okay, Sasha, I will see you at SummerSlam. Like, we will get it on. Like, it's fine. I'll take care of you at that moment on the big stage. And she basically is saying to like Zelina, like, you're small potatoes. Like, I'll fight your ass tonight. Like, right here, like, I like, let me just take these giant earrings off, and like take care of it. And I just like kind of love that, like, I'm not afraid of you energy. Like, let's just do this here and there, because I feel like in a lot of like other things, there's like this dodging of like, you don't want this like heat, and like I just kind of like enjoy that she was just like, I'll fight you and I'll fight you. And just kind of like facing the opposition.
And finally, Zelina, what did you think of Zelina when she popped up?
Well, I was like already just like invested in these two. So I was just like, okay, I don't care about this other girl. But then she came out and I kind of liked her too. And I was like, I don't know. I was just like, okay, she's coming out here and she's got like kind of an energy to her that I was like vibing with as well. And so this was like that was and again, like they're all just like trying to like fight for attention and like the spotlight, where like Zelina's like upset, where she's like, this isn't about you two right now. Like, you accepted my challenge. Like, this is about like you and I are the ones that are supposed to be like having some sort of feud here. Like, don't ignore me. Why is Sasha even here? You accepted my challenge. We're gonna fight.
Exactly.
And then Bianca's just like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna fight you. It's fine.
Yeah, and like to your questions earlier, I feel like it's so interesting to like hear what actually comes across, because WWE is really big on like, here's what we want you to feel, or it actually sometimes feels like, here's what you're gonna think and feel, because we're gonna tell you what to think and feel.
And that's why I ask.
Yeah, and it's interesting because like Zelina, in my estimation at least, is kind of just like a little bump in the road on the way to the Bianca Sasha match at SummerSlam, or just in general. That's kind of like the role that Zelina is in right now.
Was
So like
given.
next week, we're probably not going to see Zelina inserted into this feud in any kind of meaningful way, if at all. And so that's kind of like the energy that Zelina was giving us, which we did see the Zelina moment pay off with the match between Zelina and Bianca. And again, I think that's the extent of that little moment that we'll get from them.
Yeah, because like some of the questions Jenny asked was Zelina and Bianca have they've been feuding for like on and off, because Bianca was also feuding with Carmella for the past few weeks now. And again, what precipitated last week was Carmella and Zelina ganged up on Bianca, and that's when Sasha came out for the quote unquote save, and that's where we got to here. So like Zelina said, Bianca had promised to fight her, and I love this because the commentators put it over. It's been a running storyline. Bianca is a fighting champion. Ever since she won that title, she has fought any and everybody, or said she would, and it just makes sense for this character. And I love, if this is this is how you book your babyface champions, especially your strong dominant ones. You send them out there and you let them say, I will face anybody. I will I'm not afraid. I love to represent this title. I'll put this title on the line because I think I'm the best. That's the type of babyface champion that you like people can get behind and want to root for, as opposed to some people, aka Nikki A.S.H. So so this made sense. Like this made sense. I'll fight you, Sasha, at SummerSlam, and I'll fight you, Zelina Vega. Now, even though I hate when they do stuff like this, because it just means that Zelina Vega is not going to win. I mean, we knew she wasn't going to win, but it just kind of confirms it. But
we'll save the more important fight for later, and we're going to acknowledge it's happening. Like
exactly, because that's what it is. Bianca versus Sasha 2 is where the money is at. And again, a little bit more backstory for the Sasha and Bianca part of the feud, Jenny. Bianca Belair won the Women's World Rumble, which means she got a shot at whatever champion she wanted to. Sasha was the champion at the time, and their feud going into WrestleMania was like that of very much like Bianca's like, I respect you, you are the greatest, let's make history together. They were actually the first two Black women to main event WrestleMania like ever for a championship. They won an ESPY for it. It's been named one of the greatest matches of the year so far. So they legit they made history. It was a great match, and Bianca beat Sasha, and Bianca's been the champion ever since. And Sasha took some time off. We don't know. She's in The Mandalorian. I don't know if you watched The Mandalorian.
No, but I know what it is. Yeah.
Yes. And so we don't know if she was filming or whatever, but she just came back last week, and that's what we've all been waiting for her to come back. And that's why she gave that promo. So there's lots and lots of history between the two of them here. And the SummerSlam match is just, it's so money. And we knew we were probably going to get it. Do you want any guesses for any of their star signs or anything like that?
Ooh,
because I would say these people they're basically themselves, just up to 11.
Yeah.
I mean,
Matt,
they all
no, I mean, for better or worse.
Yeah.
I would say, I mean, like it almost, again, I default to like fire sign energy because it's very like strong, like I'm first, kind of like sometimes aggressive energy. But like I kind of like Bianca has this like I'm down for whatever challenge kind of energy. So it kind of made me feel like either, and these are two very different signs, but I was like either like Aries or Capricorn, because like Capricorn is just like, I can do like they're overachievers.
Yeah.
And so I feel like Bianca has that energy where she's just like you were saying, like she's like, yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, like I'm going to. But
she is very much an overachiever, and she is actually an Aries, like you said.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
See, again, like it was like that. Yeah, like
Ding.
This will take you down.
Yes.
And then I Zelina, I'm not sure. I didn't get enough of her personality. Again, kind of seems like an afterthought.
Yeah.
I did like her outfit though. I'm a big fan of like the short shorts and the fishnets look. I didn't love Bianca's fighting outfit, to be honest. I loved like what she was. Yeah, I don't like I don't love that.
She makes her own. She makes
it's a little then. I mean,
it's okay. It's whatever you like.
No, it's just like I'm not a big pink person, I think is the thing. And then
she changes the colors all the time. Yeah,
but it always looks like this.
No,
it's that cut. It's the same cut. Like she's the pants, boots, and the halter person. Yeah.
This looked like this kind of looked like her like week off gear to me. You know, it looked a little bit basic.
It kind of is, right? Like this is like I'm fighting Zelina Vega outfit.
She's like, okay. Yeah. And I'm always amazed because I mean, I know that she makes her own gear, but is this like, does she always make she doesn't always make new gear, Mari, does she?
I don't know, but I'm really thinking about it. I rarely see her in the same gear twice though.
I feel like, I mean, I know that
because this is the first time we've seen this one.
Yeah, maybe it. Oh my God, she has too much free time on her hands for all that. So
yeah, Matt, see if you can pull up some more gear while I talk about this question that we
I don't know if I could do this.
We got a question from Ben on RHAP has a job has a Squadcast Patreon group.
Squadcast.
Sorry, my bad. Okay, gotcha. The question was, do you think Sasha should win the title back at SummerSlam? That is so hard because
no
because I love Bianca's run with it, but yes, just so that they can keep fighting again. But
has Sasha been around longer? Like,
yeah.
Okay, so she's like a lot more like storied.
She is established. Okay. Yeah, she is an established star. She is, in fact, the greatest of all time. Like they both alluded to.
How old is she? Because she's like stunning. Like she's
like 30.
She's 29. Did she turn 30?
I know that we're like
something like that.
Like, I don't know how long people have been in. So I was like if she's in her like 30s or 40s, she looks amazing. But okay, that like makes a lot.
Yeah,
Sasha. That's the thing is like I don't know if she's a veteran. Like that could mean. I mean, we have people showing up in these shows that are in their 50s, but it's the men, like you guys were talking about. Like they don't bring back the women when they get older.
Yeah, she's 29.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
and
she's a baby.
That's her birthday.
But she's not a baby because she's been wrestling since she's 16.
Oh my God.
Well, she's a baby in terms of life. She's not a baby in terms of wrestling.
No,
and in terms of, I mean, the thing I would say too is that like with pro wrestling, it's strange because with the like we'll see some men who are ancient. And then with the women,
as we just did,
like 30, as we have this, but then we'll also see like women who are like 35, and
they're considered old.
That's definitely older.
The women have definitely have a shorter lifespan. It's exactly like Hollywood and
exactly
TV.
Right.
Yeah.
Like why are
By the way, and just speaking of
the
women, I want to break down Bianca. Mari, you did have a special request here of Bianca's gear. So I just pulled up her Instagram and like
that's how it's Meg the Stallion there.
Yes, so we're getting an exclusive. We have Meg.
She's so cute. I just love her.
Here she is with this is not her rest gear that she was wearing last week. She had the flare, she had the sleeves, there's just all of it. Look at it. Okay, wait, this isn't going that much further. That was sad.
Yeah, I was about to say you would have had better luck.
It's some sort.
That's at the ESPYs. They won the ESPY. Oh, show that picture, Matt, of her and Sasha.
No.
This is awkward.
I'm not logging.
This is awkward.
No, it's not even awkward.
It's fine
because you know what? If you want to go to check out Bianca's Instagram, it's at Bianca Belair WWE. I do follow her. I'm not logged in.
I do too as well.
And if you find that she's an outfit repeater, let us know because so far we're not seeing any outfit.
Yeah, we'd seen
original content only from Bianca Belair. So
good for her.
Yeah. So I'm
so impressed by the lifting of each other. Sorry, I just like back to the fight with her and Zelina. I was just like the athleticism of being able to just like lift each other's like weight to throw each other. I just felt like there was a lot of lifting going on in this particular fight.
Yeah. They love to do that. And especially with Bianca, they love to have her lift people because she is so strong.
Yeah.
They call her the EST, as it says on her trunks or her tights, really, which means that she's the best, like she's the strong S, the great S, the fast S. But it's true, and she literally could just lift people over their heads. Like she's done this to Sasha before. But I mean, Zelina's also probably the smallest woman on the roster, I would imagine.
Wet. Yeah.
So,
but she was lifting her and talking junk to Sasha at the same time. It was pretty cool.
That is impressive.
Is Zelina a Cancer? I need to find that out.
Oh, let me check.
Maybe. I don't even know. And
I'm just like throwing darts at this point.
December 27th is her birthday.
Oh, okay. So she's a Capricorn.
Capricorn as well, yeah.
And then Sasha is January 26th.
She's an Aquarius, yeah.
Aquarius.
News
to me.
So let's move on. We keep talking. I don't,
I'm sorry,
we need
guys.
Jenny still here. No, it's okay. I can be here all day. No, I can't. I'm a lie. So we get Edge and Seth. Edge challenges Seth Rollins to a match at SummerSlam. This was just really good just because like Edge was so intense. Seth Rollins was at his absolute annoying. And then on top of that, they drew on all of the history that they've had together going as far back as 2014 when Seth Rollins had threatened to break Edge's neck, because again, he's threatening to break Edge's neck again right here and there. I love how Edge references that he threw out Seth Rollins in the 2020 Royal Rumble and the 2021 Royal Rumble. So this was just a great promo between the two. Seth Rollins is back in a green screen, so Edge can't get to him. And it's just character work at its finest. Matt, what did you think?
You know what? I thought that was a beautiful suit that Seth Rollins had on. He had his little pink butterflies on the evergreen. I don't always love his suits. I swear that last week he had a really ugly suit, but this was beautiful. And I actually don't want it, but I mean, I could imagine someone who's not me wanting it, which I think is a good sign.
I said in my notes, I'm like, I don't know if I love this suit or hate it, but like I found myself warming back up to it. I'm like, okay, there's like a color moment happening here. Like I would never I would not like ask Phil to wear this suit, but like I feel like it was working on him. I was like, okay,
Phil could rock this suit, and that's the thing. But I will say the thing that takes away from the suit is just like, we get it. Seth Rollins has a very annoying laugh. But it's unfortunate. Like, that's the one thing about him that it takes me out of all this, because I'd never want to hear that laugh ever again. I don't care if he's a good guy, bad guy, face, heel, whatever. I just kind of like, they always lean into this for him when he's a heel Amari. And,
the laugh.
Yeah, it's so strange because it's such a
it's a annoying. He's an annoying heel.
Like, is that it, or is it because it's
he has big toxic man energy, which is why I was probably most drawn to him. Like I was very like I'm like, is this man kind of attractive? Like I went through so many experience watching this. I was like, do I like this hideous suit? Maybe. Do I hate this man? Maybe. Do I like him? Also maybe. Like it was a lot going on. It felt very classic, like villain to me, like you were saying with like the laugh, and this was one of the clear situations where I'm like, okay, I know how they want me to feel. Like I know that they want that, like he's the villain. He's talking about Edge has had his neck fused multiple times.
3 times. 3 times.
just casual break your neck talk, you know, just
Casual.
little, just off the cuff. And like we're very much like rooting for Edge in this situation. So like I felt like that was something that was very clear to me.
Did you recognize Edge?
Yes, I definitely recognized Edge. Yes. I feel he's like the later end of like when I kind of started to stop paying attention, but he was one of the few people in the clips that I saw that I definitely knew of. I have no idea what Edge's sign is, but my guesses for Seth Rollins were Scorpio or Gemini.
Now I'm like,
drum roll, please.
I know.
You know what?
Man, energy.
God, this is sad too, because if you're right,
he's a Gemini.
No,
Matt, you're a Gemini, right? Yeah.
No, I'm not a Gemini.
Oh, wait.
I'm a Taurus.
Wait, you're both Tauruses. So here's the funny thing. So like I'm calling it toxic man energy when I'm saying Scorpio and Gemini. Phil, okay, so Phil is he's a Taurus sun, but he's very Gemini heavy, like very, very Gemini heavy. Has Gemini moon, Gemini Mercury, and then he's also Scorpio rising. So this is all the energy I like in a man, apparently. I want a little bit of that stable Taurus, but I also want that like kind of annoying Gemini energy.
Wow.
That's funny.
So dark
funny,
too.
Gemini.
I keep wanting to do my birth chart, but I just never.
Oh, Mari, we should do that.
Yeah, why are we
I don't know if you want
right
to open
now?
that can of worms.
Forget the rest of the highlights. Let's just go into that. Yeah,
that's what everyone came for sure.
Right?
They're like, never invite this girl back.
So
anyway, Seth is toxic, but I liked it. Like,
yes, and it was good.
Yeah. Like, if you're gonna be a villain, like, I want to be interested in it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, I don't want
like
you to
our
just
Big
be a
Brother
villain
villains.
because you have like a feud with someone. Like, I want you to be like kind of like annoying and evil, and he served that.
He did,
like
and he did bring, as Edge said, he brought that Russell Brand televangelist Colonel Sanders energy. I liked how you pointed out the toxicity of it too, because I remember when he kind of debuted this character early this spring, probably in March or so. What I was getting was cult leader vibes. And
oh no,
I still kind of get those, but it's like goofier right now.
Well, I'm like, what kind of cult leader is wearing like a hot pink and like green?
All of them.
No, he went from it because he was. That's a he was kind of cult leader-ish, but then people were calling him like the drip god, and they were loving his suit. So he started. They started upping the obnoxiousness of his suit. So now that's the thing.
Mistaken with Johnny Drip.
Yeah, Johnny Drip.
I was not
anyway. Johnny Drip. Yeah.
We don't have to go back there, but
exactly.
No.
So finally for SmackDown, it was just a lot of reliving of what happened last week. It was just that, John Cena came and challenged Roman Reigns. Roman said, "I'm not accepting your challenge. I'm going to accept Finn Balor's challenge." He went to sign the contract. Baron Corbin jumped Finn Balor before Finn Balor could sign the contract after Roman signed it. Then John Cena came and jumped Ben Corbin. So John Cena signs the contract. So now we officially have the contract for Roman Reigns versus John Cena. But in the meantime, Finn Balor had a score to settle with Baron Corbin. So we got Finn versus Baron Corbin. And after that, Finn basically, they called out Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns came out, their stare down. But then the Usos decided that they wanted to beat down Finn Balor, and then they didn't even do that right.
They needed Roman Reigns to bail them out.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. They barely even got a job done.
Right? Like
yes, they are all related. No, those are his cousins. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was very much like, God, guys, you make me do everything myself around here. Energy.
Exactly.
Like, you had one job.
You had one job. And they didn't even accomplish it.
It worked out at the end of the day. Like, hopefully Roman's more results oriented than anything else. Because if he is, then he won't mind like all of the like. There was this one moment where like Finn's down, and we have a picture of it now on YouTube. But I had to watch this back multiple times because I was like, wait, what just happened?
The Usos hit themselves.
Yeah, it was very.
He rolls out of the way, and then he like lands on the other one.
It was like Three Stooges to a T.
It was evil henchman energy. We loved it.
The putties from
the putties, yes, or Bulk and Skull, maybe.
Yeah,
big Power Rangers villain energy. So they tried it, and you know what? I like this because I just thought that Finn was going to be made to look bad, and he didn't look bad. He looked amazing here, and I don't know.
Again,
will we get more of this next week? Or
if
he held his own against 3 people, essentially.
Exactly. Right. Which is why we're saying he came off really well.
And he's the smallest one.
He's the smallest one.
He's small.
He's small.
I loved when he jumped out of the ring and like took both of the Usos out at the same time. I was like, okay, like you small man, like look,
he can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, this is how you book a baby face if they're losing. Again, I'm just so upset with how they're booking Nikki A.S.H. But this is how you do it. He got beat down, but damn it, he looked amazing while he did it. So
you're like rooting for him. Exactly. So my question is Roman Reigns like the Rock of like this era?
Yes, he's actually related to The Rock again.
Wait,
tangentially.
Sorry, what? I actually did not know this. This is not a setup, really?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, everyone's related.
Yeah, again, tangentially, it's a long story. But
Marty, what's it? Yeah,
no, we're not
a trio.
The family tree. Yes, exactly. The Samoan dynasty runs long. It runs deep. The roots are in the blood.
Okay.
And yes, technically, like The Rock and Roman are kind of like play cousins. And so, Roman will be at Survivor Series.
Yes.
Yes, it's family. Yeah. So, I mean, this is what I've been hoping for. I'm hoping we're gearing up for a Roman and The Rock program here. But basically, yes, Roman is the big bad guy. He is the champion, and he has
Is he a villain?
Oh yes, he is a villain.
Okay, because he had like big like mob boss energy, which I was like very into. I was just like,
very much.
You're in control, and I like this.
That's
And that's all I've got to say about that.
Any thoughts? I mean, he did. I was gonna ask you about his hair, if you had thoughts on that, but he wore his hair up.
Yeah, in the man bun the whole time.
Okay, listen. I think that honestly, like my love for toxic men probably started from wrestling, and the long hair came along with it. There's been many man with long hair that has been toxic that I have been attracted to, and I don't hate it. I really don't hate the man bun. It's had its moment, but I feel like there's something about Roman Reigns where it's just like he has this energy to him that I'm like, you can do whatever you want. I'm not going to question it. Like,
exactly.
If the man bun is not a thing anymore and you're still interested, go for it.
Yeah.
Do it.
All the way in. And here's what I'll also say, that, he brings so much to the table as a character too. Physically, he brings lots to the table. He's he just brings it all. And so he's just fun to watch.
Yeah.
For everybody, I think, which is cool. Which is also like
and he's at the top of his game too.
Exactly. Right? And that's we were talking about this so much last week with like the John Cena dynamic, which I won't even get into, but Roman Reigns is amazing.
Yes.
John Cena looked like a dad going to like a Green Bay Packers tailgate. What is this outfit that he like? I'm sorry, I was not around for John Cena's heyday, but like it was a little bit too late for me. Like I knew who he was, and I'd seen him before, but like in the clips I've seen, I'm like,
that's classic John Cena. Like he
always looks like this.
Yes, this is
like a dad.
The jorts and the highlighter t-shirt.
He always looks like this, which is it's the strange thing about Cena. He doesn't change his clothes or he changes the color scheme.
Yeah.
Well, that other guy didn't change, or was it Baron Corbin? Did not change his clothes. He fought in a white button-down shirt and black pants.
Yes.
They didn't even give him an outfit to wear.
That he That's what he wrestles in. Normally it's not as disheveled, but he's going through it's sad Corbin days right now.
I was
having
gonna
a
use
hard
the word
time.
Slav. It was very slovenly.
There you go.
I felt that. I felt that energy. Like he's going through the shit right now for sure.
Yes. And we
do
also
a power rank, by the way, of like of just wrestler outfits and who's at the top and who's at the bottom. Because Cena is at the bottom for me.
Oh yes.
And come on, like put some other clothes on.
Yeah.
Wash your clothes.
Like you have a lot of
wash
money.
your shorts.
Show me that you care about it, okay?
Well, somebody who has different clothes. I don't know the segue for that.
That's a great.
We also got we also got a snippet of Paul Heyman being interviewed.
Oh,
Paul Heyman was interviewed, and as he turned around, he was just asked his thoughts about John Cena sneaking in to face Roman Reigns.
He was not a fan of this.
He wasn't, and as he turned around, Big E was sitting there not awkwardly laughing, but he was trying to make him awkward by laughing because Jenny, this is Big E had the Money in the Bank briefcase.
Yeah, he's the trombone guy.
He was a part of the trombone guys.
Okay.
They were a team. The New Day were a team.
Can he have a trombone somewhere on his shirt or on his briefcase?
Yes, because he's a part of the he's a part of the New Day, but they are separate right now. The New Day is on Raw and he's on SmackDown.
Yeah, so he's a different show. That's why I was confused. Yeah. I was like, this was a totally different time. Like, who is he with the trombone?
Yes, it's different brands. It's different brands. So it's the same company, different brands. He was split up from his New Day brothers. The New Day are on Raw, and he is on SmackDown currently. And he is Mr. Money in the Bank, which means he has that briefcase, and at any moment he can cash in on it. And this was just him taunting Paul Heyman.
That's what Nikki A.S.H had, and she
that's right.
Cash in on
exactly.
But she didn't have the patience that
Big E has.
Big E is waiting for his moment.
She didn't have patience, period. She cashed in the next night. Like Big E, too much Big Brother.
I want to see Big D wrestle now.
Oh wait.
Big E has had it for like 3 weeks.
You know what? We'll take it.
Maybe
he'll probably be wrestling soon.
Maybe what's her face? Nikki A.S.H just didn't want to carry around the briefcase. She's like, this is kind of heavy and annoying and awkward. Like I always have to be like watching over this briefcase, or she's just like, I'm just gonna get this over with.
She said, screw it.
Yeah, I don't want to carry this around.
That's so real.
We did get another question.
Someone's gonna rob me.
We got our final question from PJ.
Shout out to PJ.
The pod. Yes. He asked, what does a Big E cash in a world title run look like for you all? Obviously, the bumpin' meats match with Goldberg is right there for the taking. But I'm curious.
He write that in the?
Yes, it's right here. I'm reading it. Is right there for the taking. But I'm curious that what you and Matt or whoever the guest is thinks.
Why did I hear bumping meats and start licking my lips? I don't know, but.
Wow. But
it's a euphemism for sure.
This is what I was loosely referring to at the beginning here. Because so if Goldberg beats Bobby Lashley at SummerSlam, we could realistically see Big E cash in his Money in the Bank on Goldberg, and because the Money in the Bank holder can cash in on any champion they want to. And and if we get that, it's because Big E has said in the past that Goldberg was his dream match. That was his favorite growing up. Famously, he said he liked Goldberg matches because it was just big meaty men bumping meat, and that's what he wants to do. That's his dream match.
It never gets old.
So
control your lips, Matt. Stop licking.
And so if we do get that, like if we do get Big E and Goldberg, and then we get Big E as the champion, he reunites with the New Day on Raw, and then not only that, they can then further in that built-in feud with Big E and Bobby Lashley feuding going forward, build off of how Bobby Lashley and Kofi Kingston, one of the New Day guys were feuding just a few weeks back. So I feel like if they did that, that would be honestly, it'd be a good way to further storylines down the road. So I wouldn't mind seeing that. I think I'd rather see E cash in on Goldberg or Bobby Lashley than Roman right now, because I think Roman is doing great work, and Roman might carry the belt for just a little bit longer.
I think that Big E needs to stay away from. I'll put it like this. I would like to see him stay away from carry. He has the big muscles. He could carry that briefcase around for a while. And I kind of feel like if he was to cash it in and then win the championship this month, that I don't think we would love that. I just feel like he would kind of be buried in the shuffle, kind of like Nikki A.S.H in some ways, where you have he'd have the championship, but I just don't think they would do the right thing with him. I feel like the place where he would shine might be let's hope that this doesn't happen, but if I was gonna say if someone's injured or someone has to take time off and then they need another big star, but when John Cena's around and Roman Reigns is around and Goldberg is around and everybody's around, I would give this some time. And maybe get some more funny laughing where he's almost kissing the belt. Apparently, he made out with the belt at this was not on TV.
No, he
at a
made
house
out
show.
with the briefcase, and he
Oh,
was
sorry, with the briefcase.
Yeah, he
How do you make out with a briefcase?
I'm sure
Matt
there are
wants
videos.
to find that that video. We can show you exactly this.
We'll
I'll
save that for
send it
the
to you.
after show or something.
I
don't
Bumping
so
meat.
big meaty
That should
men
be the name of the
meat.
after show. Bumping meat.
Bumping meats. Oh, that's such a great name.
Bumping meat. Well, the bump is their
the bumping meats. It's like a double
bumping meats.
Yeah.
Anyways, so
I'm so sorry, guys.
I don't know. I agree with you, Matt. He could hold the briefcase for a little bit longer, and I wouldn't be mad at it. Check your DMs. But I think Raw is really hurting. If I did not have to watch Raw, I would not watch Raw because it's just not that great.
Isn't that awkward? We need to start doing this podcast at on Tuesdays after Raw, so or after we watch Raw, so that it's not the first thing we see in the week, because it does kind of SmackDown's really carrying a lot of weight, and NXT is doing a great job, but Raw not so much,
Exactly. So that's it for the SmackDown SmackDown highlights. Again, finally, you can find all of the highlights, all of the clips that we just discussed in our show notes and our description at the bottom here. So we're running out of time, but we do have a shoot. We're gonna do the shoot this week.
We are.
Yes, we are.
No, we are.
Okay. We're gonna do the shoot this week. A shoot is anything that's unplanned, unscripted, real life occurrences in wrestling. So this is our segment where we like to just go off about something that happened in the wrestling world this week. And this week we got Max Caster. See, there we go. Max Caster on AEW did a promo that was just wow, it's so bad, so insensitive, just not cute at all. It set the wrestling Twitter sphere ablaze. AEW had to issue apologies. They actually removed some of the video of it, which is crazy because they honestly didn't even have to post the video because this wasn't even on live TV. This was on their YouTube show. So they could have honestly not even released the promo, but no, they decided to release the promo. So we did get from the listener, longtime listener, Stan C. He recorded his own little version of the shoot to send to us for us to play, and so we're going to play that right now before we get into our thoughts. So go ahead, shoot your shot, Stan.
Multimedia, come on, Stan C.
Hey, Matt and Mari, Stan C here from the Philippines, longtime listener, first time caller. Okay, I'm going to be talking about the Max Caster promo in the context of drawing heel heat using shock value. I was a pro wrestling manager here in the Philippines pre-pandemic, and I was a heel too. So the last promo I ever cut in the ring, I basically dissed Kobe Bryant a month after he'd passed away. And when I did that, that was the loudest I'd ever been booed in the ring. And I was really proud of myself. I was like, yeah, finally, I had the best heat I could have drawn from a crowd. And Robbie Eagles, the current IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion, was working that event with us. And he pulled me aside and he said that, yeah, you did get the heat, but you didn't do it the right way. And I asked him why. And he said that Kobe Bryant isn't part of your story. He wasn't physically present in the arena. He couldn't react. He had nothing to do with what we were talking about in the context of the promo. So it didn't really make sense to drag his name and to drag him into the promo. So that's kind of what Max Caster did here by invoking Simone Biles and making a joke that referenced Duke Lacrosse to bring up Simone Biles and to bring up the Duke Lacrosse incident really crossed the line, because now you're sending a message that you're making fun of these things which shouldn't be made fun of. And when you've got a platform as large as AEW, you send the wrong message and you empower the people or the subset on the internet that says, oh, these people are snowflakes, or people can't take a joke anymore. Where's your sense of humor? And the fact of the matter is these things are unequivocally wrong. And for a company trying to position themselves as a competitor to WWE, it was so disappointing to see them really fail the global audience with regard to the lack of sensitivity and the lack of accountability towards the things that Max Caster said. So there, quick 2 cents from me here in Manila.
Thank you, Stan C. And shout out to Stan and the Wrestling podcast, which is the longest running weekly episodic Filipino wrestling podcast. Shout out to Stan and thanks for that video. But yeah, Mari, what are we thinking about this? Any reactions immediately to this?
Good job to Stan. But basically, Max Caster cut. He does this rap. He thinks he's a rapper. He cuts a rap promo where he says he made fun of Simone Biles, like checking out of the Olympics for mental health. He then goes on to make a Duke Lacrosse rape joke right before he says that a 19-year-old girl's nether regions are smelly. Right before he implies that her is
the
smelly.
Other thing that he did that nobody's commenting on is that he just replied, he replied that PCR tests are fake, which no one's literally no one. I have not seen
Matt,
any
do you
single
understand
person comment.
That that's my job, right?
Yes, like, I know that's your job.
I was like, legit, like, are you serious? You're also a COVID denier too. Like, people miss. It was like 4 points of this promo that was just all bad.
Every line was like, I'm going to offend with each line in a different way, and all of it's bad.
Yeah, and it's just like it's all so bad, and it's just like what Nancy laid it out, and I'm glad that we have him here to give that perspective, especially because I even before this heard the Kobe Bryant story, and just it's the story of Stan cutting the promo and the reaction that he had, which is like, you get it. It makes sense that the characters are, you're a heel. You want to be a bad guy. You want to be seen as horrible. So then you go and say horrible things. But there's also a line, especially in today's wrestling world, where like people know that it's scripted. Like it's not just people going out and being bad. Like there are lines that you could cross. And like, even with us podcasting, like there are certain ththings and jokes that we make and others that we stay away from. And you have to do that. Another point though, that Stan made in like the extended version of this video even was just that like the commentators, you've talked so much about them, Jenny, because like they give us cues for how we should think and feel. And one of the disappointing things here was that the commentators like didn't say anything or imply that this was horrible. Like the only clue that this wasn't good was that the camera kept cutting to the wrestlers who had like the disgusted reactions, which only says so much. And so it was those bad choices by Max Caster of the Acclaimed. But
yes, and because we like to definitely let you know what we're talking about here, I'm going to read what the actual promo said.
No.
Word for word.
Okay.
I mean, if we could read the transcript from the Hulk Hogan tape, I think we could read this.
Yeah, I know there were a lot. Yeah, I think about that once in a while.
Me too.
And
so
here's the transfer. I will take credit because I did transcribe this. Because I don't.
Sure.
Because this is a side note. I don't know. I wonder if the transcripts are out there and circulating a lot.
They're not.
And I think that there's a reason for that.
There's a reason. Yep.
Yeah. But go ahead, Maury.
Okay, I can read. Okay.
Are you gonna read
a dramatic reading of
a dramatic reading?
Word. Maybe we could call Brittany from BB23 to deliver this one to us.
Okay, it says the acclaim kicking ass for miles, make you claim mental health like Simone Biles. The Seidel's gonna pay the cost. I'm trying to treat those bitches like Duke Lacrosse. The blondes say they the best, but those dudes are faker than PCR tests. And what's that smell here in North Carolina? Oh wait, that's Julia's. And then he gets cut off there. I mean,
that's where they said we can't cross that line.
Yeah, they said of all the things we say here, we definitely can't say the word vagina. That's where we're crossing the line. But all of the rest of this was totally okay.
Oh my God. It was just so like just each line just got worse and worse and worse.
It's like, don't do this. Like
yes, because I heard about they were like, oh, Max Caster just disrespected Simone Biles. I was like, okay, cool. Let me go listen to it. I was like, oh man. And then I was like, oh man. It's like the TikTok trend, like the oh no. Oh no.
Oh no. And I think like I don't know if you were going in this direction, Maury, but fans definitely people definitely like to pick and choose when they're going to be critical and kind of go in on something versus when they're not. And this was interesting to me because you would assume that the transcript would be out there, especially because like the video was kind of removed and pulled from a bunch of places. Yeah, it was pulled. Obviously all of the words in this promo matter. So I was surprised when I couldn't find the transcript of it. And I'm glad that, I was able to find that YouTube video, but it kind of speaks to like this thing where I think people are willing to attack Max Caster. But I also think, and Stan C does a great job with this, like going to the next level of like, let's talk about AEW's role and who should be held accountable there. Let's talk about the announcers and how they portrayed this. Like, it's not just about the performer, and it kind of concerns me. I don't know a lot about Max Caster, like as a person, but I mean, he is someone who I'm literally Wikipedia is failing me right now. But I just like what's his is Max Caster black?
No, not to my knowledge. I don't
anything.
I mean, he looks like he has something in him, but I don't know.
But I think that there's former NFL player Rich Caster.
Oh yeah, totally. Oh, thank you, Jenny. Of course, Rich Caster of the NFL team, and but anyway, my point is like it's just so interesting when people will attack a person.
So at least his dad is black.
Well, I mean, I point that out though. If it doesn't. His dad is black.
Matter? Wait,
but no, I pointed out because like people are willing to be harsher with certain types of people than others in these types of situations, and I think this could be a little bit of an example of that, where they're like, let's attack him and shit talk him versus like let's attack somebody else let's hold someone else accountable who we like more.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't get the sense that anyone
that's a slippery.
Yeah,
that's a slippery slope. But I think what you're kind of referring to, because AEW also had like the whole speaking out thing kind of popped their heads back up for AEW this week. I don't know what happened, but AEW claims to be on the side of like victims of speaking out, but they are currently pushing somebody who has been accused of stuff. So we're not going to get into that too deep right here. Yeah, but my biggest question, I guess, for Ginny here is, as somebody who doesn't watch wrestling, AEW is a different product than WWE. They're way more they're not PG. They're closer to PG-13 and way more adult centered content. And you did see some clips. We did send you some clips. We just didn't get a chance to talk about them. What does this say to you as a casual person who may have turned on AEW that night when they saw this promo?
I mean, it made me just wonder, like, what is the norm here? And like, it made me wonder, like, what's like, and I don't know who the other guy is. I only know that
I don't know
guy's
the
name is
other guy either.
Anthony
Pastor.
Bowens, who's
Okay,
you
and
know.
it's like, are these people well received? Like, you know, and it sounds like they, like you were saying, like they're trying to get this taken off of the internet. Like, is this just an example of like, oh, I really thought this was gonna land and it didn't, and now we're like backpedaling? Or like, do they co-sign this, or is this just like an accident? Like they gave too much creative license to their performers, and now this is like what happens.
Well,
So that,
I mean, yeah, like, do
that's
we
the
know
thing.
for sure?
We
Do we
do,
know?
because
Okay.
well, this is what they claimed after it was
Yeah.
posted online. Tony Khan, who is the who bought AEW, he said that he's never normally in gorilla position behind the curtain. He doesn't do the editing, and so he said from now on he is going to be watching the content that comes out. And we do know that one of the reasons that a lot of wrestlers do like working in AEW is they get more of a creative license with their characters. They get to kind of dictate where their creative goes, which is complete opposite of WWE, where everything, there's writers, everything has to go through Vince McMahon and all of that. So yeah, they were given creative license, and this is what they came up with. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And when you ask, did it land? There are lots of people who love the Acclaimed and who are AEW fans. Right. And honestly, the only reason why it even kind of got this big was, you know, because Twitter. They posted it on their YouTube, and and then it got a hold, and
well,
you know,
what I noticed too, and like Stancy kind of like mentioned this, and like what he was saying is that like a lot of the comments on the video I noticed were a lot of people being like, if you're offended by this, you're a snowflake. And I'm exactly like, of course these are the comments all over this video. So I was trying to get a sense of like, is this like obviously it made waves because like we're talking about it, it's getting scrubbed from the internet. The transcript is not out there, like you were saying. So obviously, like there are people that took note of it and were like, "This isn't okay." But there's also like a great contingent of people that are like, "This is great." So it's like, is this like the intended target demographic? Like, I don't know.
Nail on the head.
Yeah, and it's definitely like, I mean, I'll put it like this: it's because AEW's on TNT. Okay. I always get that confused with TNN, which I don't think is even a network anymore.
It's not.
It like hasn't been for like 15 years probably. But you know, the thing that like comes to mind with this too is just that, like, again, you can't get I can't even imagine what would happen. Can't even imagine this happening, but couldn't imagine what would happen if it's like BB23 and like Brittany's just cutting this promo. Brittany's like laying down this rap. Like that's not gonna fly at all. She would be like ejected. Big Brother would probably be like ejected from CBS in the moment. Possibly, probably not, but maybe something would happen. There'd be some consequences. And I get that this wasn't on TV, but this is for a product that's at that level.
Yeah, it's a platform.
You can't do that. You're in household, and but your brand is huge, and you need to be a lot more careful. I'm just a little surprised though that like I am disappointed that people would defend this so much. Maybe surprised isn't the word.
Yeah,
it's shocking that, because like I've seen his name trending like at different points over the last few days, just randomly, and I'm like, oh, okay, so people are talking about this again. Hopefully it's not in like a positive way, but
yeah. And again, one of the things that people didn't appreciate is there's a rape joke in this rap here.
yeah.
And there was a major movement called the speaking out movement that happened in wrestling about 18 months ago or whatever,
Yeah.
where a number of women had come forward that say a number of wrestlers, or
Mhm.
not, I shouldn't say women, it was different victims came out to say that different wrestlers had, assaulted them or whatever the gamut was.
And a number of them were women's wrestlers too. So it
Yes,
wasn't
and
even just
exactly. Exactly. It was women wrestlers who were also saying they were being assaulted. So the problem is, again, AEW employs some people who were named in that movement. So that's just a double dose of like, you're basically laughing in these victims' faces because there's also a rape joke here while you're also pushing somebody who is, so it just was not a good look at all. Mhm.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So
No, I mean,
Yeah.
I think like
Do
like to
better,
put like
right.
a cap on it or something. Like, I guess the only thing I would say is like, what would we ideally want, or like, what's the like in the future if this happened again? Like, how
It should not
should
happen
they?
again.
If this
That's what we
happened
want.
again, though, like, what would be the course of action that we would want them
Don't
to
post
take?
it. Again, they didn't
That's
even have
one
to post
thing.
it. I mean, the promo was still floating around before it got posted because somebody in the audience
Oh,
posted the video, but it was already kind of making waves that it wasn't good, and they still posted it onto their official YouTube page.
So
So
it
this
didn't
shouldn't.
make the air. It got posted to their official YouTube and then pulled.
Well, that is technically the air because the show
Right.
he was on was their YouTube show.
Oh,
Yeah, they
okay.
have a
Gotcha.
television show and then they have a YouTube show.
Okay.
So
Sorry.
yeah, when they record it, no, it's okay. Nobody cares about the YouTube shows, but
yeah,
it's still published. It's still published on their
I mean,
platform.
it's still public.
And it's still
yeah.
a show,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they
Still produced and intentional.
yes, and intentionally released.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah. So
Yeah, and
Matt,
also
was that
just
your
like
income?
one thing I'm curious. The last thing I'll say on this is like what consequences there are for everyone who's involved and responsible. Like, is Max Caster going to be on the air rapping next week? I don't know, but I just like lots of bad judgment all around, and it's disappointing. Not surprising.
Does he rap all the time? And he just
yes.
Oh, okay.
That's it. That's their gimmick. They come out and they make a rap about their opponent. So, I mean, they could do something. It's AEW, so they know what people are talking about.
Say, yeah.
So they'll probably flip it and to make it something goofy, like, oh, they turned my mic off or something like that. Something like, yeah, I apology would have been nice because I still don't think
Exactly.
maybe I'm tripping, but I don't think he even did an apology. Tony Khan barely did an apology.
Yeah, that's
so
right. Exactly.
That's bare minimum Twitter, like bare minimum, like for real. But okay, that was this week's shoot. Very
fun
intense.
times.
Thank you, Stancy, for sending out that
you,
amazing video, and we love it when you guys are a part of the show. So to wrap this up, Jenny, I mean, you're just an amazing guest. We are so glad you could be here. Any final thoughts just over everything you've seen over the week? Anything you're interested in? What is your new wrestling interest level?
I mean, I like it doesn't take too much for me to get invested. I think the problem is that like the different shows don't relate to each other, so I feel like it's too much for me to get invested in one of the, but there were a few different storylines that I was kind of like, I want to see where this goes. Obviously I'm very interested in what happens between Sasha and Bianca, like we were discussing. When is SummerSlam? I'll have to pay attention to what happens here.
Yes, it's in 2 weeks. It's on August 20th. Yes, so
this was very nostalgic for me. It was
21st. It's 21st.
Yeah, I loved experiencing wrestling again. Something that I, had definitely been in the world of viewing as a young person. But seeing it from a modern lens was very interesting. Like I said, I black out during a lot of the actual wrestling, but I'm very much into the storylines. I was reading the edit. It was great. I was very, very I was very involved in it. And honestly, just a joy to get to come and talk to the two of you. You guys do such a great job with this podcast. I have to say, like
Thank you, Jenny.
the dedication, the organization, you like the way that you engage your guests on this show is just so good. So I just need to make sure that I say that live before we wrap this up, because everyone pay your respects to these two because they're absolutely killing it. And thank you so much for having me on. It was really fun.
I mean, we couldn't do it without like the amazing guests like you. Mari would probably kick me in the face, and I would try to make sense
fun
of
little
it.
story, like your rivalry, like heel turn of Mari, or
it's like Mari. I have to watch her.
Yes.
I have to watch her. But Jenny, one quick question I have for you: could you see yourself as a wrestler in this world of wrestling?
I think I'm too much of a baby. I think that I'd be like a really good sidekick though. Like I would be like a really good hype woman. Because like, you know how some of them like have like their like
the
their
managers.
like I think I'd be a good manager, honestly, where I'm just kind of like I hype up my person. I'm protective. I can be organized.
I love that. Oh my gosh.
So yeah, like I'm very much like supportive of people in my life that I like want to do well, and so I think that that's more so my place. I mean, I love attention, but I'm just like I'm a lover, not a fighter.
Yeah, that's great. Unfortunately, we didn't get to do create a Hapsler with you. I did have a great ring name for you. I don't know if I should tell you.
What is it?
Do you have a ring name?
No.
Matt?
Maybe it'll happen in the future. I don't know. Like,
yes,
you know what?
I'm gonna hold
it.
What? We'll hold it.
Okay.
I'm gonna hold it.
We can't. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Because I have
never
it's
know.
so good.
Or maybe you will.
I hope I find out at some point. You
Yes.
guys have to bring me back, and then
yes, we will. I think at one point we might just do a whole show of just like creating Hapslers for all of them. Yeah,
have like
you guys are
20
so good
people
at
show
it.
up. Half of them have characters, half of them don't. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, like the quickness. Like you guys are so in it. You know what you're
so
doing
off
with
the
these.
top too.
For better or for worse,
creativity.
off the top rope.
Yeah.
Jenny, where can everybody find you? Tell them what you're doing. Plug anything you're going through here.
Oh, okay. So you can follow me on social media at Jenny Autumn on all platforms. I am covering a couple shows right now. I'm covering Netflix's Sexy Beasts with the great Kuya. We had a little bit of delay in getting our it's definitely interesting. It's unique. That's for sure. So that's just a quick little 6 episode. They're very, I would say, crushable. The episodes are crushable. You can get through them really quickly, but honestly, you can also just not watch the show and listen to the podcast. We have a ton of fun. We did episodes 1 and 2 with Liana. We did episodes 3 and 4 with the great Jacob Jones, who's recently on this podcast.
Yes.
And we should be recording episodes 5 and 6 with Jacob's tag team partner Chappelle. That should be coming out sometime this week, hopefully. Had some delays in getting that. That was my fault. And I'm also covering HBO Max's F-Boy Island with my great friend Kirsten McInnes.
Yes.
So our coverage of the first drop of episodes came out earlier this past week, and we will be recording our recap of the second drop of episodes, I think, on Monday. So that should be hitting your podcast feeds in the next couple of days, depending on when this guy drops. And I'm just occasional Big Brother 23 stuff. I'm paying attention to that. Loving this season. That's pretty much it.
She does it all.
It's been a busy
all
summer.
And it's amazing. And we love it all. And I feel like, between like us, like me and Mari and you and Kirsten especially, we need to figure out like some kind of podcast that's like the like WWE of love. I don't know.
Well, I'm telling you, like there is like I was not coming into this week of knowing I was going to be watching a bunch of wrestling clips, expecting the love story of Index. And like, you know what I mean? So, and I'm telling you, like, some of these people are hot dummies. We can throw them on an island.
Yeah,
like, I want to know what happens.
That'd be awesome. You have to.
Oh no!
Yeah, this is
Now
a
I'm
lot
gonna
of
be
fun.
thinking about that until our next episode. Just like fantasy booking the
The
hot WWE and
WWE Love
AEW
Island.
dummies on the island. We'll get there. But you know what? Thank you, Jenny. Thanks again. Love your Twitter handle and love your handle. It's very
Thanks.
simple at Jenny Autumn.
The only place I don't have it is TikTok. I got onto the TikTok
too
too
late.
late,
Too old for
so I'm
TikTok
like Jenny
anyway, so
dot
it's
Autumn.
cool.
I also
Same.
I don't post on TikTok. I just watch it, so it's just not a big deal.
Good
But
for same.
Twitter handles
and
are hard though to get. I'm like, again, as I mentioned, I'm an old, so I've had Twitter for a long time. So I got in on
the
At the end of the
TikToks are
day,
not.
aren't we
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
old?
The
We're all
olds.
just getting older every day.
Old sir.
Older and older.
That's how
Matt,
it
where
works.
can the
You just
people
get
find
old.
If the people want to
Find you.
find me, that's the
Yeah.
big clarification.
Of course they do.
Don't find me if you don't want to. But if you do, at Matt Scott GW on all of the platforms. I'm not on TikTok, so don't. But also Twitter is a good place to find me. Tweet me, hit me up, and also Stereo, where we do our post pay-per-view reaction shows and all of that stuff. And so that's where you can find me. And do I have any other plugs? No. And I'm happy about it. So I'll be back here next week. But actually, you know what? Maybe I will have. Oh wait, we do have a plug. We have a plug, Mari. Together.
Oh right, we do.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
I forgot.
I'm happy that I have
We've
a
been
plug.
we can plug it like 3 times. Anyway,
Mari, do you want to start plugging away?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter and Stereo at Mari Talks Too Much. That's 2 like the number 2. We're here every week on the Wrestling RHAPup podcast. You know, subscribe to our feeds, send us those 5-star reviews, like, subscribe, all that. You can also find us on YouTube. Rob has a podcast on YouTube, and you can watch us. You can watch our faces as we react. Yeah, I'm also doing BB23 coverage. I just did the live feed update on Thursday with Taryn. Lots of fun. Dummies in houses, maybe that's the new thing. But they're not. They're not. Yeah, exactly.
Dummies.
This not this cast.
No.
But
but they're not. They're not there anymore.
Yes, I was recently not too long ago on the Bachelorette podcast. I was on the 90 Day Fiance podcast, lots of podcasts. So you'll be seeing me throughout the year with the BB23 coverage. And like Matt said, we will be on the slap on Monday.
Yes.
Ding.
Yeah, we'll be there. And so as part of the BB23 coverage, for those who don't know, the slop, which I think Mari, you mentioned up at the top of the show, is patron only. So you get the exclusive takes, the exclusive content. Again, part of our love for BB23 and Big Brother in general. But Mari, do you want to tell them what we're talking about?
So we will be covering the Big Brother Canada versus Big Brother US Celebrity Night Fight. Well, that's what they called it. Celebrity Night Fight, a boxing event that took place last night. There was like 8 or 9 matches pitting a BB US person versus a BB Canada person, and it was the hottest of messes. So if you want to hear us talk about it, you got to become a patron at patreon.com/RHAP, and then listen to it live on Monday. I think it's at 7 o'clock.
7. Yeah.
7, yes. To the slop. It'll be us, Rob Sesternino, and I think Puya is guest hosting with Rob that day. So, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Friend of the pod, Puya, and all of us. We're going to cut up.
And you could only listen if you are an RHAP patron, which we would absolutely recommend, because you get all of this exclusive content. You get to hear from us and our beautiful, sultry, smooth voices. Exclusively. You never know what we're gonna say. Maybe we'll just go off the rails. Who knows? We can when we're on Patreon. So that's gonna be really awesome. That
is a highly anticipated slop episode, I have gotta say.
Yes.
I'm very excited.
So
it was a last night was a mess. So we're gonna break it down. I feel like Mari, I don't know about you, but I feel like I might have to rewatch it, which may or may not be painful.
You're gonna relive that whole experience.
Relive the whole thing. Maybe
I'm just gonna look for clips then.
No. You have to take it all.
go check out the RHAP Instagram account at
Yeah.
RHAP Grams. Jacob Jones, Trey J and C Dog,
Yes.
the tag teams. They took over RHAP Grams. They were at the fight. They met a lot of your favorite reality TV stars. I mean, loads of them. I was so jealous. They met Michaela, Big T, Tori. I mean, the list
Nani.
goes on and on. Nani.
Someone else.
Yeah,
Michaela
Nelson.
Bradshaw.
I already said Michaela.
She said Michaela.
So,
but like, come on.
But also Michaela.
yes. So
also.
it looked like they had a lot of fun. So go check out that
The
story.
FOMO was
I
real.
know. I'm so upset. I was like, I
talk
want
about it because now I feel like I want to go back in time and be in Texas.
Like, I just want to hang out with the two of them in general, and then
That would
on
be-
top of that,
Exactly.
all of what they got up to last night. I mean, you gotta
No.
experience
amazing.
it.
That was
through.
awesome, and Mari and I are going to replicate that very soon at the next show that Rob sent us to.
Yes.
Rob,
Sends us to
book us. I'll send you my.
We'll have to
flight
talk to him
information
about that
or
on
something.
Monday.
We'll work on it.
But all right, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the Wrestling RHAPup podcast. We will see you next week. Watch out for any flying elbows. Goodbye.